finish is past.
The chances now cast.
Spin through here.
Just us.
Without care. We are winning the race.
The world in its place.
The whole sky is spinning.
And us?
We are winning.
All I can say
is come that day.
At the finishing line.
It's us.
We are fine.
This weekend at Brands Hatch will see the closest championship finish in A1GP history. John Watson caught up with the two leading contenders for a look at this famous circuit.
We're coming into the final round of the fourth series of A1GP here at Brands Hatch. And Adam, what does it mean for Ireland? I don't think they've ever won an international race championship before.
No, John, but hopefully we can do it this weekend. To bring the championship to Ireland would be just a dream come true.
Neil, for you?
Well, we won it last year, and we want to set a new record by having 2 titles in Switzerland now in A1GP.
Now we're in Druids. That you got caught out here last year, Adam. India came across, you damaged the wing. You're going to have to be really careful.
Yeah, of course. I don't want to blow the chances just by something silly like that. It's an easy corner for some drivers to get caught out at. Hopefully I won't be one of them.
Neil, for you, tricky circuit?
Well, it's a very tricky circuit. Very special, very specific. But, well, I'll try to follow Adam in free practice and then get ahead of him in qualifying.
Clark Curve is the last corner on the lap at Brands Hatch. Happens to be my favourite, by the way, as well. But it's a very important corner because it leads on to the pit straight. Power boost, both in qualifying and in the race.
It's a great corner. It's a really quick entry. The car goes light, a little bit of oversteer, and it's easy to run off. And you must get a good exit for the long straight.
Yeah, as Adam said, you can make easy mistake on the exit, getting wide onto the grass. And I think qualifying, last corner, you have to get it right.
Adam, last lap of the race. Ireland are going to win the championship. What are going to be your thoughts?
I hope that is my thoughts, that we are going to win the championship on the last lap, of course, but we just got to make sure we're there.
Neil, you won the championship here last year, so could be a second time around. Is that any sweeter?
Last year it was like, oh my God, we're going to win it. This year we'll think about the after-race party.
There will be a lot of work for Team Ireland and Team Switzerland before they get to that party on Sunday night. But let's do a lap with Neil Young as he drops out of Paddock Bend, then climbs up the hill into Druids. A favourite overtaking position, particularly on the opening lap, but very easy to get your front wing clipped by another car. A quick squirt of throttle and you're into Graham Hill Bend. Easy on the exit, it comes back at you. And then you're on to Cooper Straight, which leads up to Surtees Corner. This is a key corner on the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit because it leads to the quickest part of the circuit. Pilgrim's Drop, 280 kilometres per hour in qualifying with car boost. And immediately Hawthorne's Bend rushes up to you. A dab of left foot braking and just breathe the throttle. And already you're out of the corner and into Westfield Bend. Then the drop down Dingle-Dell and the climb up the Sheen Curve, the blind approach and then the wider exit. Reposition yourself on the right hand side of the track for the approach into Stirling's Bend. A little bit of camber on the inside of the corner, but the curve on the outside can be vicious. The run down to Clark Curve is also vital, the second most important corner on the circuit. Let the car run wide on the exit, then bring it back to the right hand side, and it's the charge to the finish. Is it Ireland or is it going to be Switzerland?
We are all set for the sprint race here at Brands Hatch. Some 18 laps of the Grand Prix circuit as we build up to the title deciding event here. And Adam Carroll starts on pole position for Team Ireland.
Adam, obviously pole for the sprint race, a great place to start. And being the final race of the season, championship on the line, does that affect your approach to this race at all?
Not really, no. It doesn't matter what race it is, it comes down to the same thing. You just got to get a good start and go from there. The car felt very good on the out laps, so my main thing is to get it off the line. It's always a tricky start here, but hopefully no dramas, get going and get my head down.
The driver who'll be hoping to take advantage at the start alongside Adam Carroll is Salvador Duran. Good effort that in qualifying, the best performance from Mexico for a long time. Third on the grid is Jeroen Blekemolen, but Neil Yarni starts down in 8th.
Neil, the final event this weekend, the championships all to play for. Quite a difficult qualifying session, but just going into the sprint race, what can you do from this position?
Yeah, it has been a very difficult day yesterday, and we'll have to see. I think now we just have to get points, do a good race, get a good start, and then attack in the second one really big time.
So here's the lineup for the sprint race then. Adam Carroll on that pole position despite not using power boost for for sprint race qualifying. Mexico did use power boost to good effect, and therefore Salvador Duran is on that front row. Jeroen Blekemolen for the Netherlands lines up in third place on the grid. He's had a fast car all weekend. J.R. Hildebrand making his debut for USA, starting in fourth place. Portugal, another championship protagonist, they're starting on the third row of the grid alongside New Zealand. And as we go further down the grid, some of the nations that would be looking to move up, France starting down in 12th, Great Britain down in 13th place. It doesn't look like Brazil's going to make the start of this one, and bringing up the rear, South Africa and China. Great Britain moves into position as we prepare for the sprint race here at Brands Hatch. Up front though, it's Adam Carroll for Team Ireland, who wants to try and make a safe victory to take Ireland a bit closer to the title. Lights out, away we go, and it's a good start from the pole man, but it's a great start by Mexico. They're going wheel to wheel into Paddock Hill Bend, and Salvador Duran squeezes in front. He takes the lead for Mexico as Adam Carroll in second, and a wide line for Portugal.
Yeah, they got contact with America. They tried to go side by side the way Mexico and Ireland did. They had contact, but Salvador Duran has done what he dreamt about, taking control of this race. Ireland's now got to settle down and just follow in his wheel tracks.
And battles further back, Neil Yarni trying to make up ground, but he can't get anywhere. He's behind New Zealand at the moment and trying to pick up some places, but it's going to be tough from there. He's currently in 8th place where he started with Australia. John Martin all over his rear wing, then Lebanon going through shot as well. Indonesia, remember, after their best ever qualifying, still in the mix. They're running in 11th place.
Cracking start from Mexico to get the advantage. That's the benefit you have by not having pole position. Salvador Duran got it absolutely hooked up correctly, and he's taken the advantage from Ireland.
But you would expect the Irish cars perhaps have a better race pace, so let's see what happens here. And USA running in a podium slot. What a great getaway that was by J.R. Hildebrand. Battled with Portugal. It was Portugal that lost out.
Well, Portugal went round the outside of Paddock Hill Bend. There was wheel-to-wheel contact, and Portugal dropped back a little bit in the USA.
But the big loser was Netherlands, John. They started third, and Jeroen Blekemolen's in 6th place now. Dan Clark, meanwhile, is in 15th, so he's not been able to make up a huge amount of ground as yet.
So field stream through at the end of one lap, and it's Mexico, Ireland, USA, all covered by just under a second.
Italy in 13th place, hounding France. So it's Liuzzi versus Nicolas Prost. Everybody using that little bit of extra space on the exit of Paddock Hill Bend. South Africa, China and Malaysia bring up the rear of the grid. As up front, it's still Mexico, Salvador Duran. What a story this is when Mexico has been in the news for all the wrong reasons this week. Right now, their man, Salvador Duran, is leading the sprint race.
But really, the person that Adam Carroll's got to keep an eye on is not so much what's going ahead of him. As you can see, there's something on the track that's from a support race that's just chalk being put down. It's the fact that Team USA is running close to the back of Ireland.
Take a look at the start once again.
I mean, that was a perfect start from Ireland and from Mexico, but Mexico just had that little bit more momentum. Just watch the two cars, they move identically. Nobody seemed to gain an advantage, but Mexico, they ran downhill, and then they just had that drive that swept past Ireland. Now, whether they're using power boost, yes, Mexico didn't use power boost. Ireland have used one short of it.
Interestingly, Yarni got squeezed on the grass, I think. Let's just see Portugal start. He went wheel to wheel with USA. Let's see what happened as they went into paddock.
Watch for the USA to the right of the Portugal car. It's inside somewhere. Here's where the wheel contact comes. Just pushes the car that little bit out to the left. And John Hildebrand Jr. consolidated third place.
Yeah, so he sits there in third, and the top three beginning to ease away just a little bit from Portugal. Philippe Albuquerque in 4th, India in 5th place, Netherlands in 6th. So Jeroen Blekemolen, terrible. He made a really poor getaway, which is unusual for him, but he just got a bit too much wheel spin and was left sitting there, and there was not a lot he could do about it. So lose. Oh, and on the grass, New Zealand. Oh, Bamber running wide. Gets back on again.
He's okay. He's lost a little bit of momentum. That's the only trouble. He will be. No, he's not. He's not going to be under threat coming into Hawthorns. But just that little error through ceremonies took the New Zealand car off the track.
Well, that's given Neil Yarni a place, and of course, I know it has.
Australia's right behind New Zealand.
Now, what happened there? Because Yarni's behind both of them, so Switzerland had lost a place or two on that last lap.
Yes, between the start-finish line and Surtees, we've seen Australia get ahead of the Switzerland car.
So something went on that latter part of that last lap, and it means that Neil Yarni's got even more work to do. He's sitting in behind New Zealand and Australia. Plenty to do here. Let's just take a look back. Here we go. That's what happened to Switzerland. He ran wide.
And of course, John Martin on him immediately. Yarni having to get out of the throttle to correct the car. John Martin saw that, got the run up the inside, took control of Druids' corner and picked up an easy pass. to put him into 8th place.
So Switzerland now out of the points, down in 9th position, chased by Lebanon, Indonesia, France, Italy and Germany. But this is not proving to be a good weekend at all at the moment for the reigning champions, A1 Team Switzerland. It's slipping away from them. Adam Carroll in 2nd place, that will do for the moment.
But he has so far the fastest race lap. Of course, that's another a point for that particular fastest race lap.
Yeah, so everything going Team Ireland's way except for the lead, because Mexico still have that by just half a second. Salvador Duran leading this race on a track he knows well from the British F3 Championship. Through Sheen curve, the two of them go, pulling away a little bit from JR Hildebrand.
Well, they're on their 4th lap, so at the end of this lap, pit stop. No, there's nothing in the pit at the minute.
I think they have to complete 4 laps, and then the pit window will open. So let's watch them as they come through the final turn. These two easing away now, but it's Mexico in charge. Salvador Duran who leads. And remember, are the pit stops going to determine this race? Ireland have one of the fastest crews in the business. How will Team Mexico get on? That's why Salvador Duran's pushing as hard as he can.
So what do you choose to do? Wait to see what Mexico does, or just make your own luck? Adam Carroll there, still with the fastest race lap. I suspect that Ireland will take the opportunity that they get to come in early, do their pit stop, let Mexico go on and do what they want to do, and hope that by the time Ireland gets by, there's the team preparing, just the tyre pressure's being checked one last time before this car will make its way into the pit lane.
It is open up then, the pit lane at the end of the lap, so we will see them coming in, I'm sure. And Salvador Duran desperately trying to put a little bit of distance between himself and the Irish car. Got to be careful though not to overcook it. A podium is still going to be brilliant, even if they lose the battle in the pits. I'm not saying they will, of course. Mexico will be up for this, I'm sure. What an opportunity for Team Mexico. We've lost the Mexican round of the championship, but if they could get a victory, that really would be something.
Oh, indeed it is, and Ireland clearly have got more than the pace of the Mexico car, but just they're keeping themselves in position. Watch for Ireland to go into the pit. No, they stay out. They're going to go beyond the first opportunity, and we're waiting to see if anybody's opting to come in. Yes, India is going to come into the pit lane first of the tyre stoppers on the end of lap 4.
So, interesting to see both leaders staying out there a little longer before they make their pit stop. As you say, Team India has come in. I think the only nation to have come in so far. Looks like Mexico will be coming in next time around. Their guys are getting prepared. The Indian car, Narain Karthikeyan, is in. 1 or 2 more from towards the back, also going for the early stop here.
There's the problem cars coming out from their pit stops. Germany having to cut behind the India cars and Narain Karthikeyan, and this might be a very smart move from the India team, because they're the only team to come in at the earliest opportunity. They will be back on those new tyres, and hopefully he'll slot into a clear part of racetrack, and we know how quick Narain Karthikeyan can be here at Brands Hatch. Certainly could get him into the solid points finishing position.
Yeah, definitely keep your eye out for problems in the pits on the stops in the next group comes in, because it is tight in that pit lane. They will try and work with their neighbours not to stop at the same time, but it could still cause problems. Duran's driving beautifully here. He's managed to open up a bit of a gap over Adam Carroll. That's a real surprise. And Salvador Duran showing the sort of form that saw him win 2 races in season 1 at Laguna Seca. He's in. He's into the pits, and so does Ireland. So it's a battle in the pit lane.
And USA takes over the lead of this race in these 2 nations, first and second until they came into the pit lane. Mexico just ahead of the Team Ireland car we're riding on board. So Mexico's pit is further down the pit lane than Ireland, so watch these two as they battle who will get in and out first.
Adam Carroll seemed to close a little bit on Mexico, just coming into the pits. So good at that. Let's see who's going to get the better stop. Oh, it's slow on that left front, and Adam Carroll gets in front. Team Ireland will take the lead of those that have stopped. Just a little delay, and Mexico comes out behind.
So that's where the battle had to be won or lost. It's going to be a pit stop that would see the determination of first and second effectively once this all filters itself through. But don't forget about India. If they came in 1 lap better, you see the support for Adam Carroll, the Ulster flag all around the circuit.
And India's in front of Mexico. You're right, John. Look at that. Narain Karthikeyan has split the Ireland and Mexican cars, and Mexico will effectively drop to 3rd.
Well, that's what I felt, that India, by coming in early, knowing Narain Karthikeyan, clear in lap, clear out lap on those new tyres, or fresh tyres, and he's put himself ahead of the Mexico car.
Well, good strategy by Team India, and after qualifying didn't go according to plan for the man who won here the feature race last year. Narain Karthikeyan has got himself into what could be second. Remember, at the moment it's USA leading, and in fact JR Hildebrand has just set the fastest lap.
Absolutely stunning, and I think if USA don't put JR Hildebrand Jr., man up race driver, into that USA car in the future, and say to Marco you're not getting the job done, I'll be surprised.
But there's potential for USA to win this thing. I mean, if they get this right and he puts in enough quick laps here, USA could actually win this race.
As long as they have a cracking pit stop, that's the key to it. All the good work on the racetrack is of no use if the pit stop doesn't follow. Here's Switzerland in and out, so the good stop for Switzerland, but coming out again behind Australia. They lost that position to Australia at Paddock Bend a couple of laps ago, and they couldn't make it up in the pit stop.
No, but he has got ahead of New Zealand, so at least he has gained that position, I suppose. Now, let's see what happened when Mexico, you see there was the delay on that.
Getting the left front, whether it was the nut or the wheel, that was the time. There's Ireland sweeping away, taking the position in the pit stop wheel change, and disappointment for Mexico, but what a great drive they've had so far. But losing one more position, that to India, and that was because of India's very early stop and a great in and out lap from the Indian driver, Naren Karthikeyan. Leaders in.
Now this is crucial. J.I. Hildebrand into the pits. He's done another good lap. Let's see whether he's going to be up there. Portugal also coming in at this time. Now, will coming in a bit later have worked for them?
Well, if anybody can do a quick pit stop, Andretti Green ought to be able to do it. That's their meat and two veg over in the States. So get this car in and out. Can they maintain that advantage over Portugal, who's further down the pit lane?
Yeah, the USA car already en route. Team Portugal, they've got some new mechanics there, not that all the regular guys, and it may have cost them a fraction. Team USA maintain the advantage. Where's our race leader? Adam Carroll's coming over the line. He retains the lead easily.
India's second, clearly, and poor Mexico just out ahead. No, USA in third.
Look at Mexico trying to stay in front of Portugal, and he does so, but he does lose the position. Oh, he runs wide, might lose it up to the hill, but he just gets back in time.
No, he was okay. He was sufficiently far ahead of Portugal although he made a little error. He had to get past Portugal before they went into Paddock Bend. He did that, but he managed to rescue the situation, and they're a problem for Monaco.
Oh dear, Clivio Piccioni going very slowly. So the pit stop, either pit stop's gone wrong or something else has gone wrong afterwards, and end of race for him, but he'll be starting on the front row later, remember.
Ireland 1 minute 12.276 on that fresh set of rubber, and there's smoke coming from that. That's
could be an electrical problem.
Well, they had a problem on Friday, remember, Umbertus Belson. And that's, oh dear me, no,
that was when Mexico, that was when he sort of saved it.
I'd rather not see it in slow motion. It's a lot worse than it was when it was at real time.
Yeah, he did run pretty wide there, but he managed to stay in front of Portugal, but he's off the podium potentially now. He's dropped to fourth. Oh dear.
Now they had a similar problem in Umbertus Belson, who was in the car for the rookie session, spun up at Druids, and there was smoke pouring out of the back of the car. What this is this time, well, it looks identical, but until we hear from the pit lane, we'll not know.
Race leader, Team Ireland, from India in second, USA in third, Mexico fourth, Portugal in fifth, Netherlands in sixth, then it's Australia in seventh. Somebody, sounded like an exhaust might have broken on one of the cars.
Yeah, we had that in New Zealand, I think, on Friday, and what it does when the cylinder and the exhaust pipe fractures, then the electronics on the engine, the sensors shut down that cylinder, so it is effectively a V7 Ferrari engine, not a V8 Ferrari engine.
And the reigning champions, Switzerland, are still in 8th place. Dan Clark for Great Britain, well, he's in 15th position. He's been unable to really make progress. Indonesia, just ahead of him, has dropped back a few places since the start of the race. Satrio Hermanto, though, holding on, and he's not going to let GBR pass easily. New Zealand, meanwhile, putting Tonio Liuzzi for Italy under some pressure there. Liuzzi running 11th, New Zealand down in 12th.
Yeah, that's a big disappointment for New Zealand. They had high expectations coming into the final round. We know Earl Bamber can do a great job for the team. But of course, starting not ideally when he was down in the third row of the grid. Well, actually, it was a pretty good start position. He dropped back in that opening lap and never been able to recover.
So he's still pushing hard. Meanwhile, we saw the problem for Monaco down there in the pits. The car, I'm afraid, is just being pushed back towards the pit garage. So Monaco out of the race, our first retirement. And everybody else still running. It's been pretty clean so far. 8 laps remain. And I definitely could hear that noise. It's one of the lead group. I'm not sure if it's Netherlands, perhaps. But that noisy engine from one in that lead pack. And meanwhile, there's a good battle developing now for third, with Mexico has got third, by the way. Mexico has gone into third. New Zealand there just battling past Italy and making the move. Oh, Bamber's getting past Liuzzi. Good move that from Bamber.
Absolutely.
Liuzzi pushed back.
Yeah, Liuzzi not really settling into Brands Hatch at all. First time I've seen him here at Brands Hatch, and having had 2 incidents on Friday, and the whole momentum of the weekend never really returning to where we saw it 3 weeks ago in Portugal.
So Italy there just losing that position, but I tell you what's interesting is that Mexico has gone into third place on that last lap.
Is it the USA then who's got that misfire, that possible
well, maybe it is.
exhaust pipe?
Let's look at how Earl Bamber managed to get past. It was a mistake.
Classic, absolutely classic overtaking manoeuvre. The car on the inside, so just quite so, they were just way wide. And Tony Liuzzi, I mean, I don't know what line he thinks that is. It's certainly not the line for Paddock Hill Bend.
So let's check the leaders. It's Adam Carroll for Ireland leading. India in second now. We'll try and listen. Mexico in third. It could well be the USA car. No, I think it's one behind.
I think it's the Netherlands.
Yeah, so USA lost that third place somewhere on the last lap, but it sounds as though it's the Dutch car that's the one with the broken exhaust.
Oh, Adam Carroll.
What's he doing?
What are you doing? There's no need to do that. I mean, you've got to keep your concentration. One of the difficulties of leading a race is that it's easy to sometimes let it lapse because everything's so easy, so in control. It's got to keep your focus, and little errors like that could just absolutely turn this race on its head.
3.8 second lead. He does not need to be doing that. He's got a massive margin over Narain Karthikeyan. Keep your head here, Adam. You're looking at trying to win this title. You're not going to do it in just this race. You're perfectly placed, though, to wrap it up in the feature race. Don't get too carried away. Mexico sitting in third, USA in fourth. Then it's Portugal in fifth place, and you have to say for Team Portugal, it's not looking promising for them as they try and chase that championship title, but it's even worse for Switzerland. Neil Yarni down in eighth place, and he just does not seem to be able to do anything about it. He's actually dropping back, I think, a little bit from Australia as well. And for the other championship contenders, it's not going well. This is what happened to USA. Now, is this how he lost third?
Well, he got a big tank snapper coming out of Clark Curve, ran wide over onto the grass. And of course that's going to be out of the throttle, corrected back on the throttle, and there's the momentum that Salvador Duran and Mexico sweep past. I mean, that was an easy pass for Salvador Duran. He saw it and he was able to get the momentum and run past on the inside.
So yeah, Salvador Duran taking full advantage of that. JR will be kicking himself a little bit because that was a potential second podium for Team USA this year, and a podium of course on his debut, don't forget. First time he's ever driven this A1GP car. Doing a fantastic job though. He's ahead of championship contender Portugal. Here comes New Zealand on Lebanon. No, can't find a way through as yet. They're all stacking up. Tony Liuzzi's there as well.
Yeah, this is going to be exciting for all the wrong reasons. When three cars getting very testy with each other, all compact as they go down here. It's the quickest part of the racetrack. Pilgrims drop up into Hawthorne Bend, just off the throttle, maybe a little dab of brake, but back on the throttle in sixth gear. I mean, a mighty corner, one of the big corners here at Brands.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Approached at 170 miles an hour. Those guys are really going for it. Lebanon in front of them, though. It's Daniel Murad, of course, his debut on the Brands Hatch circuit, and he's had some good results in A1GP already.
Earl Bamber is all over the back of the Lebanese car, coming down into Clark Curve. He's got to stay close if he can think he can make a move. Now, he's got any power boost left. New Zealand looking across. He's run out of power boost.
So
Lebanon's got one.
Lebanon might be able to protect a little bit. You can see the power boost figures on the... Oh, he spun in front of New Zealand! My goodness! Oh, Bamber doing an amazing job before it hitting him. And Lebanon into the gravel with New Zealand.
Well, what a save on the one hand. New Zealand, how they avoided hitting sideways into the side pod of that Lebanese car, I do not know. Lebanon just the back end snapped away the car, and in the wheel tracks, and that was the New Zealand car. Earl Bamber, fantastic job avoiding any contact.
That was incredible. I thought we were going to be on for a huge accident there.
Now, will this be a safety car deployment?
Well, we'll see. Yellow flag at the moment. Two cars in one piece when it could have been a huge accident. Remember how Lebanon ended up upside down at Paddock Hill at the very first Brands Hatch A1GP event? Well, thankfully it didn't happen. Look at it again here, John.
Yes, watch coming through start-finish line up into Paddock Hill Bend. Once the news and just gets away, then Earl Bamber hard on the brake. He's utterly and completely driving in a blind fog of what is actually dust from the gravel trap, but managed to keep out of contact with them. Just strange, no real reason I can say why that occurred. The car looked consistent every lap prior. Maybe there was something on the track from earlier, but hard to tell.
Watch it from the onboard. Now this will be fascinating, and seeing Earl Bamber react. He reacted so quickly here.
Earl Bamber took a higher line, then the back end, and I wanted just to get on the gas just a little bit too hard, too early.
Yeah. In fact, Bamber was sort of already
Where is that Mexico car? Tell me. I can't see it.
Lebanon car, don't forget. Yeah, Mexico car still all right. He's up there in third. Yeah, but the battle is still on for third. Look at this. Mexico and USA, nothing to choose between them. The little mistake from Hildebrand earlier, which allowed Mexico to nip through again, and now he's under pressure from the American. Portugal still in fifth, Netherlands still in sixth, I think, with that broken exhaust.
Well, certainly the USA car of the two is the quicker, and just J.R. Hildebrand Jr. Where can he find a part of this racetrack to attack Salvador Duran? There are very few places remaining. Up into Paddock Bend, nowhere near close enough to do it. Here you see on board on USA coming out of Clark Curve, but there's what, 5 car lengths between the two into Paddock.
Meanwhile, up front, let me tell you, Adam Carroll is flying. His lead is now 6.5 seconds. It's a remarkable performance, and I think he's really got his head together now after that little mistake at Graham Hill Bend. He's pushing hard, and he's got a 6.5 second advantage over India in second, and then this group of cars. There he is, look at him go, John.
Now the car, this is how Ireland's car has looked pretty much all through the weekend. It's just planted. You turn the steering wheel, the car turns. There's no hint of understeer. You get on the throttle, no hint of oversteer. The car looks absolutely perfect. Only that one incident when he got the car over the curb on the engine of Graham Hill Bend did it look at any point scary.
Look at the gap back to second place, man. Winner here last year, Lorraine Carter-Kane. He comes through Westfield, no problems, but he's no way going to threaten that lead of Adam Carroll's. And then it's Mexico still in third.
Well, that's a great result for India. Should we see the conclusion? 3 laps to go. Started 7, up to second place. Lorraine Carter-Kane will be a very happy driver indeed.
But look at this one for third place. It's not over between Mexico and USA. Hildebrand, who's raced on the short circuit here at Brands, so he knows 1 or 2 overtaking manoeuvres. He raced the Formula Palmer Audi series. He might have a little go at Paddock or into Druids, but at the moment he's not close enough.
No, he can't. When the critical corner onto the pit straight is Clark Curve, he can't get himself in position to be close enough. But even running up into Paddock Bend, it's very, very marginal. There's other parts of the circuit where you might think my favourite place would have been trying to get up the inside into Surtees, compromise the car on the outside and then take control. But again, nowhere near close enough to Mexico to put a threat on them.
Yeah, no, it's just too far back at the moment. Australia, meanwhile, running 7th on their own. Switzerland still down in 8th and now unable to get away from France. Nicolas Prost running in 9th, Italy in 10th. Germany in 11th, Indonesia 12th, then Great Britain in 13th, China running 14th, South Africa 15th, and Malaysia in 16th. 3 cars out of this race, of course, Lebanon, New Zealand and Monaco.
Just getting a little look at Switzerland and France coming out of Surtees. Just on the audio you can hear, I thought wheel spin coming from the Swiss car on acceleration, and that's not what I would expect from Switzerland.
No, that's odd. So maybe he has got a slight problem, but Ireland leading this race with just 2 laps to go, less than 2 laps to go now, as Adam Carroll actually crosses the line in front of our position. So we go to the last lap, and Team Ireland are looking for 11 points from this race. That's the win plus the fastest lap, and that's going to certainly extend their lead over Switzerland, who are on for just 1 single point out of this.
There are 2 cars out there now that have got fractured exhausts.
Well, so obviously problems. I saw the teams, most of the teams had the exhaust off and crack testing them all yesterday to make sure they're okay. But Team Ireland are looking happy. Their man is out in front. They won't wrap up the title in this race, but they are going to put themselves into pole position, not just for the feature race, but for the entire title with this performance.
Yeah, I mean, this has been an outstanding drive. Lost the lead at the start when the lights went out, but regained it at the pit stops, and once he got that green, blue and white car into the lead, he's just driven away 7.5 seconds ahead of second place. But this is the battle for third place, Mexico, USA and Portugal, and it is not over by any means in this last lap.
Oh, this is going to be tight into clearways for the final time. Is Hildebrand going to make a real lunge for it? I would think he may protect his position. He's still in a pretty good 4th. Here comes Adam Carroll, though, and A1 Team Ireland come through to take their 4th victory of the season, matching Switzerland. It's their 5th win of A1GP in total, matching Great Britain and Malaysia, and what a time to do it. Coming through in second place, it's India and Lorraine Carter-Kane, his best result of the season. And third is held by Mexico. Salvador Duran does it. He is through in third place, beating USA and Portugal. Netherlands in 6th place. But here comes Switzerland and Neil Yarni, the best he can manage there. A rather disappointing 8th. John never really looked in it, unlike this man, Adam Carroll.
Well, other than that little bit of a difficulty off the start, it's been all Ireland in the sprint race. And for Switzerland, the principal contestant in this championship, finishing down in 8th. Well, what it's done is given Ireland a great breathing space before they go in now to the feature race. They don't necessarily have to go out and win the feature race. I know they will want to, that'll be their aspiration. All they have to do is ensure that Switzerland doesn't get ahead of that Team Ireland car.
Well, already you can hear that Irish team applauding Adam as he gets out of the car. Look at the points now, on 97 points. Switzerland on 89, so there's an 8-point gap there. Portugal close to Switzerland, so could indeed be a battle for second. And there's girlfriend Claire to congratulate Adam. This team that's worked so hard, now they can really begin to taste it, but there's still the feature race to go.
Oh, indeed, and that feature race has got Switzerland on the second row of the grid. 4th place directly behind Monaco, who are alongside Ireland. So it's going to be a different Switzerland, I think we will see when we get into the feature race.
Great second place there for Narain Kartikeyan. He does love this Brands Hatch circuit. He always seems to deliver a result. And there was our early race leader, Mexico's Salvador Duran.
Yes, and what a result for Mexico after all the global news about Mexico, the dealing with swine flu, the fact that we had to cancel our event in Mexico. So this is the final round in the 4th series. So for Mexico, what a great afternoon.
So those guys making their way up to the podium to receive their awards and their trophies. And there's Dave O'Neill. There's Adam Carroll then onto that top step. And the other guys coming out as well. Jonathan Palmer up there. He'll be handing out the medals. Narain Kartikeyan steps up, and then we'll see Salvador Duran.
So Mum and Dad Carroll are here to support son Adam and sisters as well. So it's an entire Adam Carroll family, along with many of the guests of Team Ireland from the south and the north of Ireland.
Well, this really is quite something for Salvador Duran to be on the podium after the various trials and tribulations that they've had since he returned to the series, but he's now picking up the bronze medal. We might not be going to Mexico, but this is still a tremendous result. Good stuff for Salvador Duran. And second place, the silver medal, going to go to Narain Kartikeyan. Explaining a little something to Adam.
Yeah, he was one of the big gainers. He started 7th, got up to 2nd place, and Narain again, that early pit stop, took advantage of the track being clear when others were falling into place. A superb pit stop, got him out ahead of Mexico, and he'll be delighted to take 2nd place.
Winner here in the feature race last year, 2nd place in the sprint race, but it's Adam Carroll who takes his first win in an A1GP car here, and that means so much to him, I'm sure, because of the situation of the championship.
And Adam just checking out, is the gold rail? I think it is.
Fantastic victory, the 4th win of the season then for Adam Carroll. And in terms of the overall results, of course, another podium finish to add to the tally.
And of course, he also got that fastest lap single point, so very important.
Definitely. So just off the podium, USA, then Portugal, Netherlands and Australia. Switzerland down in 8th. France, Italy, Germany, Indonesia, Great Britain down there in 13th place. So Dan Clark not really able to make any progress from his qualifying position. He'll have to see if he can do more in the feature race. Further back, China, South Africa, Malaysia, and then some of the non-finishers. Fastest lap to Ireland. But let's hear now from Neil Yarney.
Neil, you can only manage 8 today. Looked like a tough day in the office.
Oh yeah, looks like we're just struggling and we don't find our direction. Today in the race it was really hard. I just tried to survive, and somehow we only got onto place 8. I just couldn't do more.
Obviously a little bit of a tough deal in the championship with your rival Ireland winning the race. How does that change your approach maybe a little bit for this afternoon, starting 4th in the feature?
I think we have other problems now than winning the title, because we're just way too slow, and I think we have to concentrate actually on now getting 2nd soon, because we have to find a lot of pace for this afternoon.
Well, you were defending champions for a reason. I'm sure you guys will sort it out.
Thanks.
So slightly downbeat Neil Yarney there, as he says. In a way, they've got to start thinking about 2nd place in the championship, but for the moment, Team Ireland are on top, and Diana is with the top 3 finishers in that race.
Adam, many congratulations. You must be relieved that that one's over, but at the start there you were pushed all the way into that first corner.
I was indeed, yes. It is quite hard to get off the line here. I just gave it plenty of revs just to make sure, and didn't make the best of starts, and Mexico didn't leave me too much room, but that's racing. I didn't expect them to, and I knew once it came down to the pit stops we would be able to hopefully jump them and maybe push them on the track, but guys did a fantastic job and the car was really good, and that's one over, just one more to go.
Narain, many congratulations. We talked to you obviously on the grid just before you got the off there, and you were sort of saying not really sure what I can do, but I'll do my best. But you've done incredibly well coming in for that pit stop, obviously at a good time.
Yeah, I was blocked in the qualifying, and so we should have qualified a bit further up, but car was great. The pit stop was really fantastic, and And yeah, but this guy was really quick. And anyway, car was, I think, the second best on the track as well, so it was good.
Salvador, again, many congratulations to you. Obviously, a lightning start.
Yeah, well, I did a good start, and I knew Adam was going to be fair enough with me, and I would be with him. So I knew that I just needed to keep the pace as quick as I can. He will not push me so much in the beginning, so we can pull away, and we did great. Later on, the pit stop wasn't the best. Anyway, the team did great, and at the end, it's a great podium for us after being so bad last races.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
And this is what it's done in the points. Ireland on top, but Switzerland still have some points to drop from their score. And it does look as though Ireland, a 6th place finish in the feature race would be enough. But of course, they're starting on pole, so the chances of them doing that are pretty high. Netherlands also well up in the field. And everyone else just trying to look at whatever points they can score in the final race of the season. Championship deciding race here at Brands Hatch in A1GP World Cup of Motorsport. It's only a few minutes from getting underway, and Team Ireland have put themselves in pole position on the grid and in pole position to take this win after a dominant victory in the sprint race earlier on today. Adam Carroll in the bright green machine starts on pole position. Let's see how the rest of them line up alongside and behind him. So it's Carroll on pole, the 6th pole position for Team Ireland this year. They really have been at the best in qualifying over the course of the season. But Monaco right up there on the front row after taking pole at Kyle Army. Clivio Piccioni in with a shout here and looking for a race victory. Moving back onto the second row, the Netherlands competitive in both sessions. Switzerland starting in 4th with France and New Zealand on the 3rd row of the grid together. Row 4, Australia and China going well. Row 5, Portugal and India. Narain Karthikeyan looking to move up. USA and South Africa on row 6, Mexico and Great Britain on row 7. Row 8, Lebanon and Germany. Row 9, Brazil and Italy. And at the back, we've got Indonesia and Malaysia. But Malaysia will be starting from the pits. So as the cars are lined up, we're going to get into the starting procedures now for this final race. Grid beginning to clear, and the national anthem. Fine rendition, and as is normal procedure before the start of the A1GP race, the anthem of the host country. It is Great Britain here. We are back at Brands Hatch, where it all began in 2005, but for the last 3 seasons it has been the season finale. It wasn't going to be this year because we were due to go to Mexico City, but obviously the swine flu pandemic has put the hold on that, and this has now become the final race of season 4.
So the 10's countdown to the engine. They ordered a gentleman start your engines. Cars have been on the grid for the best part of 20 minutes. Low tire blankets have been on those tires. They have been cooling down, as the usual story we say at every race. Low temperatures, low pressures on this outlap. You're going to have to get those pressures and temperatures up as high as you can.
Right, it is time to fire up those Ferrari V8 engines.
Gentlemen, for the pride of your nation, start your engines.
And it's Emerson Fittipaldi who gives the signal to fire up. The starters are engaged, and Adam Carroll's car looks to have fired up safely. That's one of the scares out of the way. You always wonder, don't you?
Well, it's always a scary. I mean, the other thing is, if your car's the first to start up, that's fine. But if you've got cars around you all firing up, it's sometimes quite hard to hear once your engine has fired. And then, of course, you get into panic mode, and then everybody sort of, you know, what are we going to do? Anyway, it's all fine on the grid, as the grid is now being cleared before the car set out on the parade lap to bring them back onto the grid. for this standing start.
So we're heading along the grid here, coming up towards the front row. On the left is the Monaco car, on the right the Team Ireland machine, looking to try and win this title, but there are 50 laps and 2 pit stops to deal with first, and Adam Carroll will want to get off that line a little bit more cleanly than he did at the start of the sprint race. But the speed he showed once he did get in front after the first pit stop was scintillating, and he just disappeared. Now Germany might have a little problem. They're desperately trying to clear the grid. Green flag is given up at the sharp end. There may well have to be a penalty for mechanics being on the grid a little bit late there for Team Germany.
Yes, they weren't able to get it fired up, I presume. So the German car is moving, but whether there will be a penalty, because they should have cleared the grid some 15 seconds before the cars were sent off on this parade lap.
Malaysia will wait until the cars come around and are lined up on the grid with the tyre blankets on there to just try and keep some tyre temperature. Looking at the points, Ireland need a 6th place or indeed a 7th place with fastest lap would be enough, no matter what Portugal or Switzerland do.
So they've got the relatively easy task. Switzerland have got the difficult task, and bear in mind they got Monaco alongside Ireland, and Clivio Piccioni is going out to make up for the victory he thought he was going to get in South Africa. And Netherlands alongside Switzerland, of course, who cooperate with Ireland. So not the most friendly environment for Switzerland to start this 50-lap feature race in.
The pit stop windows, lap 9 to 16, and then on lap 28 to lap 36 it reopens. So 2 pit stops and splitting up this 50-lap race, and as you mentioned earlier, John, there'll be a tiny break for the drivers on a very physical, hard afternoon. It's not quite as hot as it was yesterday, so at least that helps them a touch.
It helps them, but it's just your body temperature gets very high. The workload around Brands Hatch is one of the toughest racetracks. The G-forces, even in slow corners like Druids, are very, very high, particularly on your upper body, your neck. And I mean, I've seen drivers going around Druids with their head in the right-hand corner flopped over on the left-hand side of the cockpit.
Yep, can easily happen because the strain is pretty great, but I don't think Adam Carroll's going to have any of that kind of problem. Now, through Sterling's corner, lighting up those rear tyres, just making sure it gets a bit more tyre temperature. Look at the anxiety, the tension once again in the background. John Haynes, he doesn't want to be at the forefront, but he's as nervous as anybody there. As Team China in the middle of that group. Watch out for Frankie here because he starts in 8th place. China had their best result of the season with Hopington last time out with an 8th in Portugal. Good opportunity for them to score points, and here comes Malaysia as expected now to line up at the end of the pit lane.
So they'll sit there until the lights go out and the entire field has passed the pit lane exit, then Malaysia will be underway. And as I mentioned earlier, for Aaron Lim, probably a relief to have that little bit of breathing space between the tail end of the field and his position.
Into pole position, Adam Carroll looks determined to get it away cleanly this time. Clivio Piccioni. Behind Carroll, we've got Jeroen Bleekemolen, who didn't get off the line at all well in the sprint race, so he, as he told us, is going to try something a little bit different. Mark Gallagher.
Oh, you can see the tension all over Mark. This is the culmination of 4 years of extreme effort by Mark Gallagher to keep this Team Ireland team at the front of the grid, and it could easily be Team Ireland's day this afternoon.
We're all set for the final race of season 4. We've got a problem. Team Germany, is it with hands or loft? Are we going to see a delayed start? We may well see a delayed start. Well, South Africa, sorry, it's South Africa. And it's another formation.
South Africa all out of shape. How did Alan van der Merwe ever get his car into that position at the end of the formation lap?
That's very strange. I don't know what happened there, but Alan van der Merwe's waving that he couldn't get going. If they get that car running, they can still get it started, but he'll have to rejoin at the back. And at the moment, no one is close to the car because it's quite a long way from the gap in the pit wall. I'm not sure if the team has even realised yet that they're going to have to help.
We've got marshals running to the car, but where are they going to push this car? They can't really push it back up the track. All they can hope to do is push it all the way down past the start-finish straight and then up to the opening, which is the exit of the pit lane. And of course, you've got the Malaysia car there. Now, whether they're trying to bump start it, I think they might well be doing that. Certainly the car being pushed by 2. Luckily, it's downhill, and they got the car going.
The car's running, yeah, they've fired it up. Alan van der Merwe's on his way. That means he'll start from the back, and that's terribly disappointing because he was 12th on the grid for this one. Much better than he had been for the sprint race, and now he's going to have to start from the back.
Well, very strange to see how the car got to that angle.
Yeah.
Obviously something in the sequence of getting the car brought to a halt, but how he was in that angle, let's have a look and see as they come up. Again, this is the review.
Just trying to see 11, 12. That should be him. Yeah, he's stopped in the right place. Let's get down to the pits. Hinch, can you tell us anything?
Yeah, I just spoke to Mike Carroll from Team South Africa. I asked if it was a technical problem or maybe a driver issue, and he said they haven't really spoken about it, but as soon as it happened, he came on the radio and said, "I'm really sorry, guys." So I think it was just a little bit of a brain fade on Alan's part, but he's good to go, although he does have to start from the back.
Hand clutches on this car, of course. It's the first time he's raced this car. It's a hand clutch, and there's a sort of certain start sequence to it. He's never done it before.
No, and
well, he did it earlier today.
Yes, but different circumstances, and this time it all went wrong. I mean, you do have an anti-stall device also, but sometimes in the moment of panic, those 5 seconds just evaporate before you even say 5 seconds.
Yep, so Alan van der Merwe, South Africa, starting from the back. That's going to be a tough afternoon then for him. Nicolas Prost, nearly said Alan, lining up in 5th place on the grid there. As France looking for a strong end to the season. They pushed the Malaysia car back into the pit. Clever stuff.
Clearly there's a problem for Malaysia, so they decided push it back in the garage. We'll get this race for Malaysia underway at some point. It'll not be the opening lap of the race, but maybe a little bit further into it.
It may just have been that they wanted to continue the tyre temperature. Let's see if they push him out again.
The other thing is, of course, they didn't want to have him sitting at the end of the pit lane with a running engine, so just push him back into the garage, and once this field has been reassembled, hopefully this time everyone will be in the correct starting boxes. Will be underway for 20 seconds.
So let's try again. We've got a gap now in 12th place where South Africa should be, because Alan van der Merwe is right at the back of the field. And here we go. We're all set for the final race of the year. Lights out, away we go, and it's Ireland making a better getaway this time, and here comes going to be a Piccioni, and Monaco's going to try, but it's Ireland that's made the break. Switzerland in 4th, trying to go around the outside, can't do it.
No, more important in the Netherlands, contact.
China's off, India's off, I think it's India off.
And USA as well.
Oh dear, well, it's all
safety cars going to be deployed.
Yeah, it's got to be deployed, there's no doubt about it. We've got India off deep into the paddock, gravel trap. But Switzerland managed to get through. It was all just behind Switzerland, really, that it went wrong. And the safety car has been called. And there's Narenkard again. Right rear is ripped off the car. Looks as though he's chatting away to the marshals. He's taking the steering wheel off. Looks as though he's okay. But there's also another car that got tangled up in it. J.R. Hildebrand.
And that all happened round about place 12. India 10, 11 for USA. So there is the safety car waiting for the field to come around. Team Ireland will lead the cars down to Clark Curve, where they'll pick up the safety car while these cars are being removed from the gravel.
The other car that's there, John, is China. There he is, Frankie Cheng out of the as well. And would you believe it, after that? But look at it, here we go. There were almost 4 abreast at one point. China, oh, he got hit by someone.
Did he get a hit on? I don't think it.
He got nudged by somebody, I think.
No. All I can say is what happened in the Lebanon race when we saw 11 cars go off into the gravel. They actually pulled 2 or 3 gears. There's somebody coming.
I think there was a little bit of contact.
Was that Team USA?
Or yes, it might well be. Yes, I think he
John
got
Hildebrand Jr. maybe clipped the back of the China car, which in turn flipped it into the India car. India getting up on its side but not going over. But damage to those 3, well, 2 cars. Team USA maybe have got wing damage. Let's look again from the onboard view.
So this is on board with GBR. Oh, it all goes wrong in the middle there. China spinning after a bit of contact. Nowhere for India to go. Carter Cairn was simply driving around the outside.
It was like watching the World Snooker up at Sheffield.
And Dan Clark's the one who's gained out of this, you know. Team GBR are now 9th. And that's it all sort of happened in front of him. Let's get some news on the crash in the pit lane. Diana, what can you tell us?
Just in at Team China, and they said that Germany touched him at the back.
Germany.
USA. No, they've come back to tell me that it was USA that they felt that touched him.
Okay, yeah, that's what we sort of saw. I thought it was USA. So, yeah, J.R. Hildebrand getting caught out a little bit on the entry into Paddock Hill Bend by China slowing up in front. It does get very bunched, and if you're in that mid to back part of the field, you've got to be wary of cars slowing quickly in front of you.
Absolutely the same in that first lap of every race, be it a Grand Prix or be it a Formula Ford. You know, going into Paddock Hill Bend, that there's going to be a motorway concertina effect. You've got to take that into account. And John Hildebrand Jr. got caught out by China. Maybe Frankie Cheng a little bit cautious going into Paddock Hill Bend, and America hard on it.
Looks like the American car looks undamaged. I mean, he had a trip through the gravel, but whether it is undamaged or not, despite the contact, they're ready to make any changes. Or
yes, well, that's for the nose. The nose box will be detached very quickly, so he's got the spanner in his hand.
Oh, there is damage.
Yes, the wing end plate on the right-hand side has been sheared off. Whether they're going to try and run as long as possible, maybe get up to lap 9 when the pit stop window opens, the end of lap 9. But I suspect that that may be a flag to come into the pit, because that wing is only going to deteriorate.
Yeah, interesting. They'll have to decide what to do. The China car's been moved out of the way, but they've still got to get on terms with the Indian car. We've just had the one lap completed so far, obviously. It is Ireland that lead. Good start this time from Adam Carroll. Monaco second, Netherlands third, Switzerland fourth. So the top four got away in absolute grid order. Portugal gained a lot. They're up to fifth.
I'm just going to say, Portugal is in fifth place, and watch at the restart, because it's going to be an opportunity for Portugal to try and put themselves close to Switzerland, who they want to get ahead of. In the opening laps, it's always easier to try and make an audacious move up into Druids or around the racetrack. Once the thing settles down, then it becomes more difficult.
So the train is coming back in to pick up the Indian car after having removed the China car, and everybody else still follows behind the safety car. Dan Clark now up to 9th, as I mentioned. Italy in 10th, Mexico in 11th, Germany 11th. South Africa have gained a bit too because of all this. They actually got past Indonesia on that opening lap anyway, South Africa, so they've gained that, and also now with a few cars gone from ahead of them, makes their life a little bit easier perhaps, and they'll be still aiming to score some points here today. Dan Clark, Antonio Liuzzi, then Salvador Duran coming through shot. All potential front runners in this race if they can sort of break through to the front. That's going to be quite tough here.
So everybody's going to have to keep their ears and eyes open, because when the safety car is being returned to the pits, it's in the control of Adam Carroll. We saw what happened back in Portimao when there was a hesitation from Australia, and that's what led to Ireland getting that second 25-second penalty. So nobody can pass until they come across the start-finish line, which is 2/3, 3/4 of the way down the Brabham Straight.
Yeah, look at the start once again. Adam Carroll got a bit of a slide on, but then got away, and Monaco couldn't quite challenge, but look further back to see what's really going on.
So we see the slide again from that pole position for Ireland. Monaco didn't get the start that we saw from Mexico in the sprint race. Got up alongside the rear wheel, but never could do much about it. But watch the Netherlands. They got third place, took it away from Switzerland. We never saw the contact in that shot. We think it was Team USA. And of course, Per Narain Karthikeyan for India was the passenger in all this.
Another view from Team GBR, and notice as the slide, you can't really sort of see the contact from that. Mexico had to lock up there, and that Great Britain got past. Another view. Now, he made a great start. Watch this from Philippe Albuquerque. Australia initially made a good start.
China. He gets alongside China and then runs all the way up the inside. Does a great job, and everybody's thinking about defending on the outside. Portugal slot themselves, take 4 positions in the space of 400 metres.
He made it look easy, didn't he? That he just got the right bit of road, and Prost went left rather than right because he was busy thinking about people on his outside, when really he should have just shut it down on the inside. You're usually pretty safe on the inside at Paddock Hill Bend, but Prost decided to defend to the outside, and Philippe Albuquerque said thank you very much, he was through. Behind him is New Zealand, by the way, and Australia. So those two great rival nations. You said AJ wanted to make sure that Australia finish ahead of New Zealand in the points. Well, at the moment the Kiwis have got control, because Earl Bamber's running 6th and John Martin's running 7th. That's a battle to go on throughout the race, I'm sure.
Well, I've no doubt that Earl Bamber will do everything possible that's fair, of course, to ensure that Australia not only remain behind New Zealand, but they stay behind New Zealand, because if they get ahead, then they may also make further places. And New Zealand have got that 4-point advantage. Australia will want to run it down. But it's a big ask here this afternoon for Team Australia.
Safety car in this lap. We're going to go racing again soon. Team USA have left their man out there with that slight damage to the front wing, so they've not brought him in just yet. But we are going to get some racing underway. 3 laps have been completed here. They all do count towards the race distance. 46 laps to go. We're a lap shorter because of the extra formation lap we had to have when Alan van der Merwe stalled his car on the grid. And the lights are out on the safety car, and it's now up to Adam Carroll to control the pace and decide when is he going to make a break. Pushed hard, of course, by Monaco, by the Netherlands, and by Switzerland as they come down its clearways. Here he goes.
He's on and hard, but Monaco anticipated it as pretty much in the top 5, but Adam Carroll's got that advantage. He's stretched the lead by just over a second as they come up into the Paddock Hill Bend.
Netherlands had to think about second place, but wasn't quite close enough. 45 laps to go, some of them using power boost, and not all of them. And everybody this time, yes, through Paddock Hill Bend. Now we could see some fun at Druids as the Black Beauty of New Zealand under pressure there from Jackaroo, the Australian car. Nothing to choose, and they are in now, Team USA, for that new front wing.
And that's going to cost them a bunch of time. They're going to have to wait until the end of lap 9 before they can make that pit stop to change tyres. There's a good move down the inside. Can they get it done? It's Mexico and Italy, and Well, I think Liuzzi's had to give that one up.
Yeah, that's Salvador Duran. He's taken the place. Maybe Liuzzi had thoughts of that tangle with USA last time out in Portugal. USA, meanwhile, just rejoining after their own problems. And Liuzzi losing that 10th place, therefore, to Mexico. Salvador Duran driving as well as we've seen after that podium finish earlier today.
And Liuzzi having to defend against Germany coming into Hawthorne, so we go on board with 4th place. Switzerland running behind the Netherlands into Sterling's.
Yes, so Neil Yanni in 4th place. Can he apply a bit more pressure this time? He was not at all happy with the balance, the handling of his car in the sprint race. He needs a car that he feels he can go on the attack with. We'll find out over the next few laps. We'll look at the lap times, see how they compare. Remember, you can check the lap times as well. A1GP.com to follow all of the lap times. We've got live timing and scoring. You can follow all the data from your favourite car as well, and all the information at A1GP.com.
Adam Carroll fastest lap, not unnaturally 1:14.9. The next best is Monaco 1:15.6, and the Netherlands 1:16.4. Almost 1 3/4 seconds slower than Ireland now. Is that a strategy? Is that a ploy from the Netherlands to give Ireland a bigger window, so that if any one of their 2 pit stops they may have a problem, they will actually be able to recoup some of it?
We've got an interesting battle hotting up here between France and Great Britain. Nicolas Prost for Team France, Dan Clark for GBR. There's a great old rivalry which is about to be exercised on circuit, and we've yet to see whether Nicolas Prost is going to be as an aggressive racer as some of them. Dan can be pretty aggressive.
Oh, he's trying to dive down the inside, but he's got pressure from behind. Well, where's Prost gone? Because he was almost on the gearbox of Prost coming through Hawthorns.
Where is Prost? I'm not sure where he's gone.
There he is.
Ah, so something's happened, and Dan Clark has gained a place. He's still got Mexico behind, but that means that Dan Clark, Team GBR, up into 8th position. And we'll try and check back what happened to Nicolas Prost, but something's gone wrong for him.
Certainly going into Hawthorns, he was right on the gearbox, looking to try and overtake, and then suddenly there he is limping back. Is that can't really tell, there's a puncture or it's not a puncture. So Prost and France in trouble as you're coming into the pits. That's the next question. No, Prost is staying out. He may just have made an error on the exit of Hawthorns.
Fastest lap that time around for Ireland, no great surprise. The lead of 1.8 seconds over Team Monaco. 2nd place, Blake Mullen a bit wide out of Graham Hill Bend. Monaco going well though, you remember how quick the Dutch car was in the practice sessions. Well, he's not staying with Team Monaco. What he's having to do is protect from Switzerland.
I think precisely that's what's happening, and we see they're running at a strong enough pace, but not now the pace of even Monaco. They're into the 1:14, where Adam Carroll for Ireland is in the low 14. That's going to be a frustrating afternoon for this driver, Neil Yanni, Team Switzerland. Nothing he can do about it. All he can do is wait until they get to their first round of pit stop and try and leapfrog the Dutch car at that point.
Portugal sitting in behind, and remember their battle for 2nd, let alone the championship time. Off is New Zealand. Oh, Bamber's off. That's out at either Westfield or Hawthorne. I think it's Westfield, isn't it?
Hard to tell from that. It looks like Westfield from the outside of the corner. So whether that happened self-induced or whether it was a little bit of assistance. Remember, New Zealand were running ahead of Australia. Australia's now gone ahead.
They were.
Whether that was contact, whether that was just driver error under pressure. Hopefully we'll get a review of that in a minute or 2.
Let's take a look here and find out what happened. New Zealand on their own.
Self-induced.
Oh, he just lost it.
Strange to see that. That's the first time all weekend we've seen a driver lose it in that manner in Westfield corner.
Just flicked away from him as he went to turn into the corner. The back end stepped out. Off he go. Let's take. Oh, we got the onboard. This will be interesting, John.
Yeah, he didn't really run the curb on the outside. There didn't appear to be anything on it. Just suddenly the back end snaps away, and that was. I don't think I can say anything was done wrong by Earl Bamber in that instance.
No, that was an odd one. That was very strange. Broke away so suddenly on him. And unfortunately, New Zealand's rather disappointing season comes to a conclusion. And that's not the way they wanted it to end.
The only thing I can suggest is Lebanon and New Zealand share again technology. They had a problem on the downshifts in that Lebanon pulled too many downshifts, and I wonder maybe was that Earl Bamber. He just maybe pulled twice, where he only needed to pull once on the brake on the gear lever, and it just simply locked the rear wheels momentarily, and that's what flicked it into a spin.
Yeah, possibly. It certainly was a very sudden spin, and usually Earl Bamber doesn't make many mistakes like that, but unfortunately he's out of the race. So joining a couple of cars out of this race already. We've lost India, we've lost China as well after that clash at the first corner. USA is still running despite being involved. They have had a nose-cone change and they're running down in 16th from last position. We're looking at Portugal here. Philippe Albuquerque keep applying the pressure to the Swiss car, just a little way ahead. Behind Portugal, Australia now running in a lonely 6th, and this does provide the opportunity for Australia to take the place. Now, at the moment in the points, Ireland would be champions. Switzerland would be second, but look, Australia would actually move ahead of New Zealand, according to that. So, interesting times.
As the screen says, 41 laps to go, 2 mandatory pit stops to go, so a lot can happen, but at this moment they've got that position over New Zealand, and for the Antipodeans, Alan Jones can go back proudly to Surfers Paradise and to Brisbane and say, what a great job we did for our country.
So quite a few crews are preparing for this first round of pit stops. Oh, and you could see Piccioni, you had to be careful doing that. That's what Amamuller did yesterday, went a bit more over the curve and ended up slamming into the barrier. Into the pits comes Ireland, and Monaco now take over the lead of the race.
Decision to come in at the earliest opportunity for Ireland. They didn't choose to do so in the sprint race. This time they've decided that was a good ploy that India played out. Let's do the same and get our pit stops over. They did a great pit stop for Ireland in the sprint race. I'm sure it'll be the same for the feature.
Portugal also deciding to come in at the earliest opportunity here. Wheels go on, it looks pretty clean.
Very
and
good
away
indeed.
he goes. Yeah, good stuff from Team Ireland. Portugal still at it, still working. Lacking a few of their regular crew members, but
not bad. I mean, it wasn't as good as Ireland, but overall that was a pretty good stop for Portugal.
Lebanon in as well. They get their man en route, seeing if Daniel Morat can gain some places here. And Alan van der Merwe in as well, man who started from the back. Problems on the Malaysian car, just a little slow, maybe fitting that front wheel. Not too bad, and Aaron Lim gets away once again.
So we got Monaco in the lead of this race, and he's got a 2.3 second advantage over the Netherlands. Switzerland opted to stay out, they're just under a second behind the Netherlands, and it'll be interesting to see whether at what point the Netherlands come in, because I wonder, will Switzerland wait for them to come in, or will the Netherlands wait until the last possible moment? The best chance is for the Netherlands to come in early and give Switzerland a chance to run at their own natural pace. I suspect the Dutch have worked that one out.
Let's see what the lap time is here for Monaco. Not that brilliant. 1:15.0. Needed to be down in the low 1:14s. Oh, he's made a mistake.
Oh yes, a big mistake in paddock. Ran too wide, too early.
Switzerland in, Netherlands in. So crucial stop between these two.
I'm surprised that the Switzerland opted to come in at this point, because once they got clear air, they could have done a 1 lap, maybe 2 laps. They're not going to get ahead. Oh, trouble as Netherlands come out. Germany in.
Yeah, but the Netherlands stay ahead of Switzerland. Looks like a new set of tyres, certainly on the Swiss car, maybe on the Dutch car as well.
Well, you know, I'm not a strategist. I would have, once the Netherlands car was committed to coming in, I would have said stay out, try and get 1 or 2 laps in and try and gain something out of that, and then make your pit stop and just put the new tyre on and do the best you can.
Adam Carroll remains ahead of this group, so Team Ireland still looking good out in front at the moment, but then the Netherlands and Switzerland followed by Portugal, so no great change there. What will be the big question is, where will Monaco come back into this group? Remember, they were second before the pit stop started happening. It's where Monaco come back out that will be interesting to see.
Well, doing a moment at 15.074 is not going to be good enough. He needs to be running consistently in the 1:14s, because once those new tyres in Switzerland come in and whatever the Netherlands have come in, they're going to be able to pick up pace and run at those lower times.
Yeah, this is going to be a qualifying lap coming up from Adam Carroll, because with the new tyre, he is out there to just try and bang in a few fast laps and put Monaco back where they belong. That's what he thinks. And in comes Monaco now. Crucial stop for them.
Ireland currently have the fastest lap on its original set of tyres. This should be the first flying lap. We see Ireland, once they finish the lap, to get an idea of what the time of the new tyre is over the other tyre, the new tyre. It's Ireland 1:14.009, picked up 0.2 of a second over his previous fastest lap.
Let's see when Monaco rejoins. He's going to lose places to Portugal as well, so he's dropped back here. It's not worked for Monaco. Team GBR in the pits and on the way for Dan Clark, but Monaco have lost out big time there.
Now that last lap, timed lap for Monaco, was not good enough, and I suspect his in lap also lost him some time.
So effectively he's gone from second down to fifth, and Monaco losing out. Australia now lead the race, but they haven't been into the pits yet. Mexico second, so we've got a few guys running deep into the race, but a 1:14.009 from this man, Adam Carroll, on that last lap, and he's trying to put together an even quicker lap this time.
So race leader, Australia, going to stay out, yes, continue out, so finishing lap 12, they've got to lap 16 to determine when they want to come in.
1:14.9 and a 1:15.1. He's on the pace, but not the pace of Team Ireland. There's a sort of Irish pace and there's an everyone else pace at the moment.
And again, John Martin, he loves running wide on the exit of Panicle Bend. It did catch him out big time on Saturday morning, but this time manages to get through, no trouble at all.
So we're still waiting for Australia, Mexico here, and Italy to make their pit stop, so they are top 3, and then it's Ireland who are first of the stoppers, and Adam Carroll putting in a quick lap. Netherlands though, good lap.
Yes, I'm going to say the Netherlands are now the quickest car on the circuit at 1:13.9, and they're 6.5 seconds behind Ireland and drawing themselves a little bit further ahead of Switzerland in effectively what would be 3rd place.
Good stuff. Australia out in front for the moment until the pit stops are finished off. Mexico running a touch wide out of Hawthorns, but Salvador Duran keeps it under control. He is pushing very hard at this point, which he needs to do. They've got to try and capitalise, but it's going to be tough to beat those guys that have put new tyres on, because these tyres are past their best, no doubt about it. They've got surely to make a pit stop pretty soon.
Well, I wonder what Australia wants to do, whether they want to have the glory of leading or they're going to come in, they're coming in. So at the end of lap 13, Australia's in. Mexico now takes the lead and puts their nation right at the front and on the cameras.
Yep, so Mexico lead the race here at Brands Hatch, but Australia, one of the fastest crew, in fact, consistently the quickest crew on the pit stops. And if the pit stop competition this year, Australia definitely lead the way. Can they do another one of their superb performances? Look very good. The time still ticking, didn't record it quite as quickly, but it looked pretty quick to me.
It was a good stop. I think Ireland, of those that we've seen, still was fractionally the quickest, but nonetheless, a good job by Australia.
Good lap by Mexico on that last lap, despite staying out there, 1:14.6, but Ireland 1:14.0. Australia rejoins behind Monaco. So down in what it will effectively be 6th place, pretty much where they were before the pit stops were being made. And he's not too far behind Monaco. If the car's going well on these fresh tyres, then he may well be able to close up on Clivio Piccioni. But it's Mexico that now leads the race, with everyone else having stopped bar Mexico, because Italy came in last time as well.
Well, he's got to make the best of the clear air.
That's an interesting view.
Great shot. Watch the fingers putting the gears, and up into 5th gear, probably 6th gear, then back down the gears. And we've got Team China currently under investigation.
He's in this time. So let's see where this brings Mexico back out. I think it will probably bring them back out behind Australia, but we'll have to wait and see as he comes into the pits for the stop.
Well, if he comes out behind Australia, will he be ahead of Portugal and Monaco?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Of course, they had a little bit of a delay, didn't they, in the sprint race when they had the pit stop earlier. Let's see if this one goes a little bit more smoothly. Good stop this time, definitely. Now, he's running down the pit lane. Switzerland go through, Portugal goes through, Monaco through. He now just joins, but here comes Australia. It's going to be tight between them. And I think he's got out just in front, but has he got enough speed?
If he hasn't got the speed, he'll use his car, but John Martin trying to run one way, then the other. Salvador Duran just went from left to right, blocked the track, took the momentum away from Australia, and has consolidated that position.
So good effort that by Team Mexico. Mexico started this race in 13th position. Australia started it in 7th, and Salvador Duran, with some very good laps from Salvador Duran in that window there. Clever stuff, impressive stuff on worn tyres. In the pits comes USA then. Their race, of course, slightly out of sequence with everybody else after that off earlier on, but he does get a clear run out of his pit bay.
So Team GBR up to 8th place. They are
new fastest lap for Dan Clark. Look at that.
That's unbelievable. 113.593.
That's brilliant lap from Dan Clark. He's used the new tyres to good effect. Now then, what can he do in this battle with Australia and Mexico? He's got up into 8th position, having started in 14th position, and now he's going to get the fans something to cheer about, because he's going on the attack.
And he's going to attack Australia, and he's got to do it quickly, as soon as possible. Once you linger behind a car for 3 or 4 corners, your momentum will go. And that's what John Martin's looking. But look at the pace of the GBR car up the inside. Just sweeps by Australia like he wasn't there. What a superb overtake.
Yeah, both of them getting sideways at the Paddock Hill bend, but great move by Dan Clark. And John Martin left the door open. I wonder why he didn't shut it down, but Dan Clark took advantage.
I think he left it open because he didn't believe anybody could go so deep and so late in the brakes. Up the inside into Paddock Hill corner, and he did, and that was a magnificent, that's a classic copybook pass. Watch again as he gets the draft from the Australia car. Australia keeping to the right hand side of the track, then he just says, I'm going to take that pace. John Martin takes the normal traditional racing line as if there was nobody there. Door open, thank you very much, job done, goodbye.
Look at it again, and both of them get into quite a slide as they come into Paddock. They're both taking a lot of speed in here. Watch this. Ooh, a bit slide from Clark, and then a slide from Martin.
Australia
as well.
was actually worse. The GBR car got away with it, and here we are on board with Dan Clark, and he's now looking at the tail of the Mexico car with the momentum he's carrying. he's going to sweep himself all the way up to that Mexican car very quickly.
So fastest lap for Dan Clark for Team GBR, but it's Ireland leading, courtesy of Adam Carroll. I can hear another exhaust making a bit of a noise. Certainly seems to have been a bit of a factor this weekend. It might even be Switzerland, John. I'm not sure which. It's one of these two cars here, I think.
Switzerland and Portugal, one of them certainly was effectively on 7 cylinders.
Now, let's get some news from the pits. Diana, what can you tell us?
Yes, just been into Switzerland, and they have got they reckon a cracked exhaust, and that's what you can probably hear. I think you mentioned it earlier, and obviously there's nothing they can do. They've just got to continue and get on with the race.
Okay, thanks for that. Well, it doesn't seem to be going quite Switzerland's way today, does it? Everything going against them this weekend. And poor Neil Yarni will suffer for power, although earlier on we had a broken exhaust. It didn't seem to make too much difference. It just depends on the electronics and what they decide to do. So through Westfield, making rather more noise, is Neil Yarni. He's still ahead of Portugal, running 4th, Monaco in 5th place, then Mexico 6th, Great Britain 7th, Australia 8th, Italy 9th, and Lebanon in 10th.
Well, once Portugal get to hear that the Swiss car is running roughly, I mean, it still may be operating 8 cylinders on the onboard computer, and the sensors on the exhaust system say when there's a broken exhaust, they like to shut that cylinder down, so it'll be a V7 Ferrari, and that means that Portugal has got clearly an advantage, which they should be able to play out very easily.
It's going to be interesting watching from behind, because Mexico and Great Britain are trying to close up to Monaco. They were 3.6 seconds behind, 3.3 this last time around. It's going to take a while because Monaco's a quick car, but if Switzerland starts slowing this group up, John, with a broken exhaust, could get very exciting, because it could allow Mexico and GBR to join in as well.
Well, Dan Clark's pace, I mean, that stunning lap 1:13.5, I don't know where it came from. I don't know why we didn't. Well, we knew what happened in qualifying. He did get caught out by a yellow flag. He's not continuing the momentum, the rush that he got by Australia, which was superb. Seemingly stalling out the benefit of the fresh tyre. The new tyre, no doubt, has gone away. So everybody now pretty much back to status quo.
Yeah, but the thing is that Duran here, Mexico, is one of the quickest cars on track as well. They're sort of dragging each other along. He's just done a personal best, has Salvador Duran. There's Joe Ramirez, an old friend, and he's keeping a close eye on the Mexican car, of course. And Salvador Duran driving beautifully, but so's Dan Clark. The two of them are dragging each other closer to that battle for 5th place.
Well, there's a 1/10 of a second between them on the last lap, a 13.9 and a 14.0 respectively. Let's see what it is this time. Mexico 14.2, Great Britain 14.1. So the gap has come down by a 1/10 of a second. Dan Clark's got momentum once again.
Yeah, and both of them are beginning to close that gap to Monaco and to Portugal, Switzerland as well. So this could get very exciting. It's going to take a little while for this situation to develop. That's interesting. Power boost being used on the graphic you could see there by Team USA, all the way down in 16th place, and they've just done a 1 minute 14.7.
Well, maybe they're going to try and get a single point for fastest lap. There's not a lot more available for them this afternoon.
On board with Dan Clark, great view as we come out of Surtees, accelerating up through the gears, 160, 165, 170 miles an hour, off the power for a while, maybe a little dab of braking, and then into the fast right-hander at Hawthorns.
So further down the field, you've got Germany, South Africa, Indonesia and France all in their little private war.
Yeah, France running in 14th place after that mysterious off, or whatever it was earlier on. He suddenly slowed down, and Nicholas Prost now down in 14th. Behind Indonesia, behind South Africa, and as you say, Germany sort of leading this queue at the moment. Michael Ammermuller running in 11th place.
And they're all running in the middle of 1 minute 15 seconds as opposed to the lead cars. Ireland low 1 minute 14s, Netherlands 1:14.0, Switzerland now 1:14.1, and Portugal 1:14.3. So the first 4 cars are again all running within a 1/10 to 2/10 of a second of one another.
Yeah, it's tight, it's competitive. You're on board with Satrio Hermanto. Disappointed, he didn't get off the line particularly well in the sprint race, and then he had a slow pit stop as well, so his best qualifying performance of the season didn't quite convert into a solid result, but he's in the mix here, chasing Alain van der Merwe. He's got Nicolas Prost there in the silver and blue car of Team France, tucked in behind, and you sort of get the feeling that something might happen here. Just everybody pacing themselves a little bit. Still 30 laps to go. There's a long way to go in this race yet.
We're on board with what ought to be the quickest of these 4 cars, but as the usual circumstance, and Prost runs wide. And I just wonder, so Nicholas never is a sort of a driver who is seen to be inconsistent, but that was just a little error of driving in his part. And we're 20 laps into this race. it's not fatigue, it's not something that you'd assume there would be a problem for a fit young 26-year-old Frenchman.
Through Westfield Corner, where earlier on we saw New Zealand throw their opportunity to score points off into the gravel track. Looked like a bit of a strange spin, but Earl Bamber out of the race for New Zealand. We've already lost China from this race. We've lost India after a first corner clash, unfortunately put them both out. And we're concentrating on this group further down the field. 11th and 10th, Germany 11th, South Africa 12th, Indonesia and France 13th and 14th.
And again, one of those has got an exhaust problem as well. I don't know why we've had so many problems with the primary pipes this weekend. It's certainly affected now about 5 teams over the course of the weekend.
That's right. We had that problem for France with the exhaust in Portimao, but I haven't been aware of a problem anywhere else. So that's a slightly strange thing that will no doubt be investigated after the end of the season. A lot of development work is planned for these cars and for the engines leading into season 5. Still riding with Prost. He takes a slightly tighter line into Surtees.
I mean, that's the line you would take if you were going to challenge another car for track position. It's not the line that you would normally take if you're running behind other traffic, other than maybe he wants to get into clear air. Maybe he is struggling with an understeer problem if he gets too close to the car ahead.
Yes, that's right. Let's just watch him now. Eases it into Westfield, trying not to use too much curve. Indonesia ahead was a bit more on the curve as they went through there, up through Sheen Curve. Lovely right-hander through the wooded section of the track. Hard on the brakes here, into the slightly banked, cambered Stirling's corner, and then before you can say it, he's on the next straight down to Clearways. Up front, by the way, it's still all about Team Ireland. They've got a 7-second advantage, more or less, over the Netherlands. Switzerland in 3rd place. Portugal still sitting 4th, then Monaco. But the gap between Monaco and Mexico is closing, down to 2.7 seconds last time around. So that means Mexico and GBR are catching.
Yes, Monaco and Portugal only less than a second. That's a little battle that's raging from the Mediterranean countries. So Adam Carroll drives along all on his own. All he's got to be careful of now is he's going to catch up some of the field at the back. It looks like Team USA just ahead. So he's going to have to accept that until those drivers see him, or the blue flag is waved vigorously enough for that driver to pick it up, he may not just get through as quickly as he would like.
No, the USA car going reasonably quickly now. 1:14.8 from USA, a 1:14.5 from Adam Carroll. So there's not a huge difference in pace between them. Carroll will catch him over the next couple of laps, but Adam Carroll's lead is still 6.5 seconds, so we lost a little bit there to
yes, he lost 0.4 of a second, and Blake Mullen running pretty much in clear air, nothing to worry about. He's got no traffic interfering with him. Adam Carroll clearly concerned about how's he going to catch this car. More importantly, when I do catch it, do I catch it at a part of the racetrack that enables me to leapfrog and get through cleanly?
Interestingly, Switzerland still holding 3rd quite comfortably, despite the fact that we thought, well, we know that there's a slight exhaust problem, but he's not slowing him down at all. Portugal is still in 4th place and dropping back, if anything.
And I think it's the Portuguese car that's got that broken exhaust, because they've dropped back from just under a second to 1.8 a second, and that would be the attribute that the engine power loss would be representing.
There is Monaco running 5th on the road at the moment, and in the background you'll begin to see those other 2 cars just beginning to close that gap. It is Mexico and GBR. Points standings at the moment: Ireland champions, or would be. Switzerland would just be 2nd from Portugal. It would be not much to choose between them though, so if Portugal can find a bit of luck or find a bit of space at the next pit stops perhaps, then they can still take that runners-up spot. Netherlands would still be in 4th place. That's a pretty safe and secure 4th. You're riding with Dan Clark, riding with Team GBR, and the man definitely on a mission here as he chases Team Mexico, and both of them trying to close that gap to Monaco.
Well, it's going to be a case of a rock on a hard place, because neither of these drivers are drivers that are going to be generous to one another. They're going to have to fight to retain or to overtake. And Dan Clark, very good under brakes up into Druid, ran down the Mexico car. I would have said taken half the distance that they had prior to going into the corner.
Yeah, and this is the point where the tyres are beginning to go off. And remember, Adam Carroll felt that big time through Graham Hill Bend, even in the sprint race. And he said when the tyre does start to go away, it can catch you out, it can be a bit tricky. Well, Dan Clark seems to be dealing with it pretty effectively at the moment, and that was a very good lap from him.
So down the hill, 265 kilometres per hour. Just a breathe and the throttle, maybe a little dab of left foot braking, but in 6th gear, the torque of the Ferrari engine doesn't need to go down to 1 gear.
Great curb camera on the exit of Hawthorns as well as they flash past, and definitely Clark is on the attack. This is Dan Clark at his best, really pushing every lap now He's had a bit more chance to get used and get to grips with this A1GP car. Both of these guys actually drove the car for the first time in New Zealand at the Taupo race, and then have had a chance to become a bit more accustomed to it. Both have had various technical problems, little issues with their cars, and there's the car they're chasing. Team Monaco running wide out of Paddock Hill Bend.
So again, it's under brakes up into Druids, but the gap naturally will reduce going in and it extends coming out. And Dan Clark pushing very hard, obviously, but Salvador Duran seems to have some advantages around other bits of the circuit which give him that opportunity to stretch the gap as it is here going into Surtees.
Yeah, Monaco on the last couple of laps have kept that gap to Mexico and GBR about the same. It's at 2.6 seconds, so they haven't managed to close it down anymore, and we're at just about half distance now, so there's still plenty of time here, and there's plenty of time to make a mistake. And as we were talking earlier, it's about focus and concentration and a lot of physical effort around the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit, and there was a mistake somewhere from Dan Clark. He's just dropped a couple of lengths.
So let's watch and see what happens as he comes through Sterling's. The curb and the exit caught out a couple of cars, and Saturday running. We'll be back to this battle further down the field with Germany, South Africa, Indonesia and France.
Team Germany, Michael Ammermuller had a good run here going until he had a puncture last year. Saw Nico Hulkenberg on the grid. Team Germany dominated season 2 of A1GP, of course, in the hands of Nico Hulkenberg. Oh, that was a bit wide from Lebanon ahead of him, wasn't it?
Well, with Daniel Morad, anything is possible, but the gap has shortened slightly. Germany can get the sniff of that 10th place from the Lebanon car.
This is where perhaps the experience that Michael Ammermuller has in high-powered formulae and running tough physical races, he definitely... Oh, and is it one of them that's got an exhaust on?
One of this group of cars.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the group that's towards the front of this particular group.
Right, it's Germany we're hearing from the pits, so thanks guys, but it doesn't seem to be slowing Ammermuller. I thought, if anything, it was Lebanon who seemed to be struggling on that last lap, but Ammermuller maintaining good pace. There's Alan van der Merwe for Team South Africa in Vulin Leyla. Has a little bit of a slide through Graham Hill Bend, nothing to be worried about. He's in 12th place at the moment, behind Germany and Lebanon, but ahead of Indonesia and France. And again, Nicholas Prost really hasn't been able to break through here, has he?
No, he's not, and he's in a line of 5 cars. What is interesting is that the Netherlands actually are breaking into the lead that Ireland has. It was 6.9 at one point. It's gradually been ebbed away to 5.3 seconds. So Jeroen Bleekemolen, the Netherlands car, currently the quickest car of the entire field on track.
Yeah, good effort that by Bleekemolen. He's pushing Adam Carroll, but the gap is still a very comfortable 5.3 seconds, as you say, so Ireland do not need to worry. And remember, Team Ireland can settle back if they wanted to win this title. They only need a 6th place or even perhaps a 7th place if they get the fastest lap. Well, at the moment they don't have fastest lap because that belongs to Team GBR and Dan Clark at a 1:13.593.
So they go on to lap 26. Let's see who's going to be the first to dive in.
Oh, problems there for Germany.
Yes.
Germany in trouble. He slowed right down. Thankfully, everybody gets past him safely. And suddenly it's all gone wrong now. That might be the sensors picking up that exhaust problem and shutting the engine down.
I think that's precisely what's happened. The sensor on the exhaust system sends signals to the onboard computer, and at some point when they decide that the situation is bad enough, they'll just put the engine in to rescue me back to the pit lane mode. In fact, Ammermuller deciding to pull the car off as they somewhere along Cooper Straight, I think that is.
It's down the hill from Druids, and it's in a relatively safe place, so I hope it won't need the safety car to be brought into action. Up front, Adam Carroll still leads this race for Team Ireland. Hasn't managed to get past the USA car yet, and he's definitely, as you say, lost a little bit of pace again on that lap. The Netherlands, some 0.6 of a second quicker.
Well, Adam Carroll's last lap was a 1:15.0, as a USA who he's running behind 1:14.7, as opposed to the Netherlands on a 1:14.4. So the interference from the Team USA car ahead is having a bearing on the pace of Team Ireland. That's our opinion anyway.
Let's get some news on Team USA with Hinch. What can you tell us, Hinch?
Well, like you guys were saying, it's clear that the pace of Ireland's being affected by JR, who's a lap down. Except the problem is there's no radio contact between him and the pits. There's been a problem. He's lost his radio. And despite that fact, there are blue flags on the racetrack, so he should realize this. He should know to get out of the way, let the leader go by, but right now he's holding his position, and it is costing them a lot of time.
It's interesting because Adam Carroll's quite a long way behind him, and yet that just shows you how much effect you get from following another car, because there's quite a gap, and yet Oh, and off's gone Aaron Lim. Now that might bring a safety car out.
Well, where is that? Up at Druids. It's up at Druids. It's probably far enough off the track that and there's a gap in that tyre wall for them. You can see the gap just ahead of the car, so there's disappointment for Team Malaysia. They might be able to get that car pulled to safety behind the tyre bales. There's not a lot of room for the car anyway, so it may mean that they're going to have to put a safety car out and pick that car up and put it back. Let's look and see, just under brakes. No, it just goes, it's almost like he just turns away from the corner, like he didn't get the speed. So the car virtually up against the tyre barrier, but cannot get out of it.
And the pit window has opened. There's the Malaysian team now. It's all over, boys, I'm afraid. You can deroad and you can start packing up, because it's all over for Team Malaysia for season number 4. And we're back on board with the race leader, Adam Carroll, Team Ireland. Are they going to bring him in early? It would seem to make sense, because he seems to be losing time here.
Yeah, but not only that, in case they do put out a safety car, he wants to get in and out and get that tyre changed done with a brand new set of Michelin tyres.
Yep, he's going to be in. Here he comes, and Team Ireland will make the most of this to put a new set of tyres on and maintain the advantage. 4.4 seconds their lead when they came past us last time around. This needs to be one of Team Ireland's smooth, controlled stops. It doesn't need to be their fastest stop. Let's just watch them in action.
Well, Jack's under the car, wheels up. One front wheel, one rear wheel. One man carries those 2 wheels out. It's only 5 allowed to work on the car. What's happened? Is there a problem in the rear of the car? Oh, there's a problem for Ireland. That was not the best. 12 seconds, that's going to put them into jeopardy if the Netherlands get a very, very good stop.
Cars were coming in too, so they had to sort of hold him. Now Switzerland is released. Let's see if there's any changes. Monaco still behind Switzerland, and several other cars coming into the pits as well at the same time. Mexico right in there, and Mexico may well have gained a little bit as a result of that. That's going to be very interesting to see when this all settles down. Remember, Mexico and Great Britain were really putting the pressure on Monaco. Mexico again a little bit closer now, but on board with Adam Carroll. He's got the new tyres on. Let's see what he can do.
Well, there's the race leader in Netherlands, but Adam Carroll on his first flying lap, in fact on his out lap, has got to do the absolute maximum, because the time lost in the pits is something he will have to work very hard to get back. Netherlands come in, well, a very late cut coming into the pits for Jerome Blekemolen, and he almost runs too quickly. There he's down to 45 miles an hour, 60 kilometres per hour. And that new set of tyres going onto the Team Ireland car, 1:13.593 is the time he has got to beat. He needs now to ensure that he gets that additional point for single fastest lap.
So let's just watch the Dutch crew go to work. Is it a clear run out? Great Britain coming in at the same time. GBR, ooh, there was almost trickiness between them.
That's maybe offset a little bit of the time lost for Ireland, because the Netherlands had to back up. Ireland comes through as the Netherlands come out. Ireland have got the lead effectively back again from the Netherlands.
Yep, after pit stoppers, that means Ireland's in front. Netherlands second, and the gap will be around 4 seconds, 3 to 4 seconds. So it's worked a little bit in the Dutch favour, but looks as though Team Ireland are still safe. Great Britain, now where does Great Britain rejoin? He's come back out behind Mexico still, so that's interesting. Portugal has been in for its second stop, and Portugal behind Monaco. So that's interesting. As a result of those stops, it looks like Portugal may have dropped a place from where they were before they were making the stops, and it will be Portugal under attack from Mexico. There's Monaco, there's Portugal, you see, and Mexico now closing on Portugal.
Indeed, and then we'll wait to see what happens, whether Mexico can mind a way past. They run down, Pilgrims drop up into Hawthorns. The momentum very much now at this stage with Team Mexico, running to look at find a way. He can't do it. Was just showing his nose, just get leave Albuquerque and Portugal concerned again, down through Dingeldale, up into Sheenkerk, nowhere to pass unless a car makes a mistake.
Yeah, this is good stuff.
He's going to have a look, I'm sure, down into Clark Curve.
GBR's a little further behind, so they lost a touch on Mexico there in the pit stops. Let's see whether this time Salvador Duran, now he'll line up for Paddock Hill Bend. He knows the circuit well, he's raced many times.
Is he going to go on to power boost? Mexico is on power boost, yes.
He's on power boost. Can he get alongside the Portuguese car? No, he can't. There's not enough space on that short Brabham straight to really take advantage.
And Ireland has now got the fastest race lap, 1:12.845, taking the best part of 3/4 of a second out of Team GBR's former fastest lap, so he's got currently that additional point for fastest lap.
So a new lap record, this time to Team Ireland. We're 2 seconds now beneath the existing lap record with the old A1GP car. That was held by Robbie Kerr of Team GBR, but it's been shattered with this new car here this weekend, the Ferrari-powered machine. 2 seconds a lap faster, and Adam Carroll may even go quicker than that if those tyres are good for another lap. Now, what's happened there?
Well, there's been a stretch again, so the gap between Portugal and Mexico has opened up. We don't know where it happened. It may have been a mistake. Most likely was.
Yeah, so that's changed things a little bit. Switzerland still running third. Then you've got Monaco currently fourth. And then it's actually Australia leading the race at the moment, I should say, because they haven't made their second stop, but they have just come into the pits on board with Mexico, still on the attack here, trying to find a way of closing up to Portugal. Wonderful shot through clearways. Love the corner, looks great on the onboards, but he's not close enough here to attack. There's Australia's stop. Where does this bring them back out?
Well, GBR's just gone by, so they're behind that, waiting to see no other car in sight, so GBR will be ahead of Australia.
Yeah, and so will France, in fact. France haven't made their second pit stop yet, so Australia now coming back out. So Australia will be behind Great Britain, but quite a long way behind. Standings then, 17 laps remain here. It's Ireland by 4.5 seconds, so they lost a little bit through the pit stops, about a second, but that's quite comfortable. The Dutch car, there it is in second place. Switzerland then in third, still under pressure from Monaco, and they've got Portugal, Mexico and Great Britain not too far behind.
Well, Adam Carroll is lit up like a Roman candle, and he's done another lap, a 1:13.020 against a 13.9 for this car, the Netherlands. So he's treating this last back sector of the race, it's almost like a series of qualifying runs.
Yeah, indeed. Blake Bonner looks behind him. He can't see anybody because there's a big gap back to the Swiss machine of Neil Yarni. Switzerland looking at a podium, but that's not what they need. They need Ireland to have a problem, and they also would need to get into second place and potentially even get fastest lap if they were to still wrest this championship away from the Irish.
Well, the prospect of that is very slim. 1:12.8 on a brand new set of tyres, and everybody's had their pit stops. So it looks to me like Ireland have got the fastest lap of the race wrapped up. And there's something unforeseen, and I suppose Switzerland could always do an extra lap.
Replay of the Dutch car coming in, John. Will he get into trouble for that?
I wasn't at the driver's briefing. I don't know what Peter Richards told them, but it's not ideal, put it that way.
No, I think he may well get into trouble, because I don't think they're allowed to go over that white line coming into the pit lane, but we'll wait to see. The stewards may take a few. We'll wait to see, and the Dutch crew looking a little nervous.
Interestingly, Team GBR has got the fastest single first sector lap time on this current lap. So Dan Clark, running behind Mexico, has not given up. He's 2.5 seconds behind Mexico, but he's pushing forward.
And look how these three have concertina together. That's Switzerland, Monaco and Portugal. You're looking from the back wing of the Portuguese car of Mexico, who was close a lap or two ago, but then he just seemed to drop away a touch. Whether he's over-egged it on those new tyres, I don't know. Whether he's taken the best out of them, but he may well be able to close it up. But as they come into the Indy circuit area, the short circuit, that group of four cars is pretty close now. Neil Yarni in third, Monaco fourth, then Portugal and Mexico.
And again we hear that sound from an exhaust system, whether it's with the Swiss car or the Monaco car. Difficult to tell. Australia now, interestingly, currently running down in 8th place. They've got the fastest sector time in sector 2, but they're going to push one back from Portugal to Mexico as they come through Druids, and the front of the Mexico car not planted as it would need to be.
No, that's right. That's a new fastest lap for Australia, John.
Well, there you go. I thought that Ireland had it all tied up, but John Martin, 1:12.764.
New fastest lap, new lap record. And of course, by going a bit deeper, they went for a later pit stop. The car is a little bit lighter, a little less fuel on board, brand new set of tyres, and bang, he's put in the fastest lap.
So, tremendous effort by John Martin. Came out of the blue, didn't expect that, thought Ireland had that fastest lap deal all wrapped up. He has been using power boost, so a combination of power boost plus fresh rubber equal to 1:12.7.
But he could still do with moving up, could Australia. It's going to be a close run thing between them and New Zealand in the points if he finishes where he is now, 8th. Despite New Zealand going off, that would be 3 points for 8th place. I think that would put them almost together on points. We'll have to see how it all works out. Mexico riding it through clearways. Portugal and Mexico 5th and 6th at the moment. Let's watch him through paddock.
Just really holding back on the throttle until he can see clearly the exit of the corner. And Team GBR hovering in just a second or so behind the Mexico car.
Another great lap from Dan Clark. He's quickest of this group. The only guy who's going any quicker than him at the moment is Team Australia, but otherwise Dan Clark is the fastest man on track.
So pressure for Mexico from Great Britain, and Mexico trying to put the pressure onto Portugal.
Look at the points predictor. As you see, it is New Zealand and Australia would be tied for points. So then we have to start looking at their finishing positions, and I'm not going to start filing through all that right now.
No, it's going to go into count back who the most number of second place, third place, fourth place finishes. That'll hardly be determined. But Dan Clark pushing hard, runs the curve on the edge of the Westfield bend, but the car looks good. Dan Clark looking good.
He is. This is a great drive from Dan Clark, and really justifying his choice here to race at Brands Hatch for Team GBR. But can he get any closer to this group? Switzerland holding on to that final podium spot at the moment with 13 laps to go. Ireland with a 5.2 second advantage up front. France on power boost, that's interesting, they're down in 10th, and I think that's pretty much their last opportunity to use it. Don't run wide through Paddock Hill Bend. Mexico saw the Portuguese car just a fraction off the apex. That might give Salvador Duran a touch of confidence. Listen, riding on board. Nice and progressive on the throttle as he comes along Cooper Straight.
You know what's amazing? Australia have gone even quicker again. They've done a 12.6. I don't know what John Martin has discovered with this set of tyres or with this fuel load on, but he is absolutely flying. But he's got a little bit of time to make up. He's 10.5 seconds behind Great Britain, and with 13 laps to go, if he can take a second a lap out of Team GBR, well, I think that's probably just about impossible even for John Martin.
Through Westfield. This is a great ride with Salvador Duran, just enjoying the sound and spectacle riding with him on this Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. But at the moment he can go quickly, but he can't get alongside anyone. Monaco still sitting there in 4th place. This would be another fine result for the team that's so new to A1GP, coming to the end of their first season and hounding the reigning champions here, Team Switzerland. But not quite close enough. Still that burbly exhaust from the Swiss car. But still Neil Yarni doing enough to hold on to 3rd position, up to the hairpin where he went off in qualifying yesterday. Philippe Albuquerque. Still an opportunity perhaps for Portugal to snatch the runners-up spot. Look how Dan Clark is now right with them.
Yeah, but he's had the benefit of running in cleaner air. He's now running up to the back of the Mexico car. I suspect what will happen is he will end up being stalled out, as everybody else ahead of him has done with the respective, whether it be Portugal, Monaco and Switzerland.
Yeah, so now this is the tough bit. You get that close, but trying to get past Salvador Duran's going to be a tough task, there's no doubt. Up to Hawthorns. Flashing over the camera. And now into the next right-hander. He uses a bit of curve on the inside there. And then up the hill once more. Through Sheen Curve. And this is where it really begins to tell in terms of the physicality of this circuit with just 11 laps to go. We are getting into the final stages. Was that a little lock-up from somebody? That was from Monaco, I think. Or Portugal. No, it was Portugal. It was Philippe Albuquerque in the car ahead of Team Mexico. And a little mistake. That's what you've got to look for now in these latter stages.
Yeah, so fatigue setting in, concentration beginning to wane, possibly fluids, losing all the body fluids, losing all the minerals, electrolytes. Dan Clark even getting it marginally wrong. Back end of the car, beginning to show signs of stepping out, going through Druids, but he's back on it again, and the gap between Mexico and Great Britain just under a second.
This is the replay, John, was it? Oh, he actually, oh my goodness, he nearly lost it there.
He did, he just got the left rear wheel too far over the grass, turned in, and of course, a lot less grip on the grass and the dust at the side of the racetrack.
Oh, Philippe Albuquerque doing a pretty masterful job to stay on track at all, but he's holding 5th. We're back on board with race leader Team Ireland. News on Team Ireland from the pits. Hinch, what can you tell us?
Yeah, well, I just watched team manager Mark Gallagher head down to the USA garage. He had a little bit of a exchange of words, I guess you could say, with Paul Anthony, the team manager down there at USA. Obviously, the Ireland boys are not very happy with the situation, with Ireland again being stuck behind John Hildebrand.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, JR's doing a good job because he's setting some good laps here, but it's not helping Adam Carroll. Here we are. Look, Adam's getting a bit closer now.
I think maybe the message has gone out from the Team USA to John Hildebrand Jr. to let the Ireland car go through. But remember, racing in North America, you don't have to let the person go through.
Let's listen to the Ireland radio here.
Trying to get them to move him out of the way. We're trying to get him to move him out of the way. Calm down, we're sorting it.
Calm down, we're sorting him. I love that.
Well, yeah, but the trouble is, Adam thinks he's losing seconds every time he runs a corner behind Team USA. It's 5.2 seconds. Netherlands has actually gone a bit quicker by a tenth of a second, but it's almost insignificant as we are within 10 laps. But this is the problem, USA racing. There isn't such a thing as a blue flag for a car that's being lapped. it's up to the driver in the car that's the quicker of the two car, i.e. Ireland, to find their way past the slower car, i.e. the USA.
Absolutely, he's out of the way here, John. Look, he's taken note, he's moved out of the way, and Adam just jinks it across as if to say, you could have done that earlier, mate. And now he's through clear, and as you say, he's still got a very comfortable lead, over 5 seconds.
Yeah, the difficulty that the USA had was that Adam Carroll wasn't running him down at any great pace. He got to within about 200 metres of him, and then he couldn't really get much closer. And he thought, well, if he can't get any closer, I'm obviously going quick enough.
So now he can regain his rhythm. He's got this comfortable advantage. Team Ireland heading towards the title here at Brands Hatch. Adam Carroll with 1 victory already in the sprint race. He's looking to double it up here today, and it would become the first time this year that we have seen one nation take both victories on the same day. We've seen it plenty of times in the past, but for some reason, partly the new qualifying rules, it hasn't happened at all in season 4.
No, and I have to say, I like the qualifying rules. I like taking away predictability. But Ireland, they overcame all those difficulties to gain those 2 pole positions. And here we are with Ireland now with a 5.4 second lead. It's sort of been hovering around that for the last 4 or 5 laps. Netherlands, I think, now consolidating to take second place, principally ahead of Switzerland, who are a further 6 seconds behind in 3rd place.
It gives you an idea that it is tough to follow another car, and that's why you're not really seeing much change going on in this group. We saw that it was hard for Adam Carroll to get past the Team USA machine, even though he was leading and the USA car was to be lapped, and that's why these guys finding it a little difficult to actually attack one another.
And it's an ironic sort of fact about Brands Hatch, a great circuit that it is, wonderful corners like Clark, but of course the aerodynamic effect that one car then overlays on another one is the reason why you can't actually get close.
There is Tony Texera, the boss of A1GP, watching it all on the monitor as it unfolds. Are we going to see a new champion team? Well, I have to say, it's looking very much that way. Looks as though we're going to not see Switzerland defend the title, because Neil Yarni, driving as well as he can, is holding on to 3rd, and there's not much prospect. It all depends. Even if Ireland were to break down, I don't think Switzerland would score enough points here. 3rd is not enough. They would need to see a problem. Well, they would move up to 2nd, but they wouldn't have fastest lap. I think they would probably need fastest lap as well.
There's 10 points for 3rd, 12 for 2nd, so it's a question of
yeah, that's
pure
right.
mathematics.
Yep, working it all out. But Ireland just want a comfortable run to the finish, and there are still 8 laps to go. Anything can happen in motorsport. Let's just wait and see. On board with Dan Clark, still chasing Salvador Duran, 2 of the fastest drivers in this race, there's no doubt. They've both been attacking beautifully, and they're still on a charge here.
And GBR equally still on a charge. They managed to run down Mexico within 3/4 of a second, and then again the process of getting close to a car stalled at the natural pace of Team GBR.
So across the line, 7 laps remain here in this final round. Let's remind you, we lost a couple of cars at the start. Team China and India both off into the gravel at Paddock Hill Bend. An instant going into that first corner. Team USA took a trip through the gravel. They were involved as well, and John Hildebrand's running down in 14th, having had to come in for a new nose cone. We lost New Zealand in an instant entirely of their own doing by the looks of it, spinning out up at this corner, Westfield. Otherwise, it's been relatively trouble-free.
South Africa got ahead of Lebanon.
Yep, South Africa in 11th place, ahead of Lebanon. I think that was probably through the last round of pit stops that they gained that position. Indonesia still running down in 13th position. But this race has really all been about Team Ireland. Good start from pole position. Adam Carroll has been in control throughout the pit stops as well, and he's still got a few power boosts remaining should he need them.
Well, the only thing he might need it for is if he feels he wants to have a go at trying to regain that fastest lap, but this set of tyres now has done the best part of 10 laps, and I think they'll forgo the fastest lap, take the 15 points for victory, and move forward and be more than happy to celebrate tonight.
Yeah, we are winding down the season, no doubt about it. You're riding on board with Team Lebanon here, Daniel Murad. He'd love to score points, but he's just outside the points at the moment, down in 12th place. Got to get into the top 10 to score any in this one. And so far, everybody up front looking pretty reliable. Now, let's get some news on GBR from Hinch. What can you tell us?
Well, you just spoke of reliability there, Ben, and it sounds like GBR's now developed the same problem that has plagued Switzerland, Germany, and of course Netherlands in the sprint race, a broken exhaust that's making the same tune out of the engine. But as we've seen, Neil has still been able to hold a good pace, but Germany came with a DNF. They retired, so with only 6 laps to go now, hopefully this car's going to hold together for Dan at the home race.
Oh, that's a worry. Yeah, we can hear it on the monitor as well now.
No, I mean, it's much worse than the Switzerland car. I mean, when a fracture and an exhaust, it depends whether the fracture stays fundamentally attached to the exhaust system, or whether it's just a big lump falls out, and I think there's a big lump falling out of the Team GBR exhaust, because it really does sound like one of the 8 cylinders has been shut down.
I wonder what it is about Brands Hatch, or the vibrations here, that have caused these exhaust problems. It's an odd one, isn't it?
I mean, I can't think it's to do with the circuit. I think it's just a function of just the pace these cars are running at, and maybe there's a bad batch of exhaust primary pipes. It could be any number of different things.
Well, that's not what Team Ireland would want. So far, things are looking good for them. But any little problem like that, and you never know. Remember what happened to Switzerland in qualifying, a little electrical problem in Portimao last time out, and that brought the car to a halt. Remember what happened to the Dutch car before the race even started in Portimao, when Robert Doornbos looked to try and take 2 wins out of 2 races. He didn't even make the start, so fingers crossed down there. Anything can still happen, but with 5 laps to go, it's looking very, very good for Team Ireland.
Well, just over 10 miles of racing to go for Team Ireland and Adam Carroll to take the World Cup of Motorsport, the crown that they've worked tirelessly. Mark Gallagher and Mark Kershaw, the Kershaw family now, John Haynes and Teddy Yip Jr., David Kennedy involved as well. So it's been a huge effort from a small nation that's going through very difficult economic times right now to give Team Ireland, to put themselves into this situation.
Yeah, let's just remind you, I mean, Team Ireland were one of the first nations to ever sign up to A1GP with Mark Gallagher and Mark Kershaw. In that first year they had Michael Devaney and Ralph Furman driving for them. Ralph Furman got their first ever podium. That was their 3rd place at Estoril in the 4th season. A couple of 4th places in Australia and Dubai. They finished in 8th place overall. It was a good start, but the second year, John, they really had a tough time. They start with Devaney initially, then Richard Lyons, but the best they achieved that year was a 5th and a 6th. It really didn't come together.
No, it didn't. I mean, there were high hopes, particularly with Richard Lyons, who had a lot of experience with cars at this level of performance, and even his expertise couldn't really gel the whole Team Ireland effort. It was only by the time they got to Mexico last year with Adam Carroll that it came good.
Great Britain's had an off and has got back on, John, so he hasn't lost a place. He's still ahead of Australia, but listen to that engine.
That sounds like a V-twin Ducati motorcycle engine.
It does sound like a big bike rather than a V8 Ferrari. Listen to that. And Australia, John Martin, you know what, this could make a huge difference, because if Australia gets past Great Britain, Australia will beat New Zealand in the final championship standings.
And there you see the gap, it's under a second as they go through Westfield Bend. And again, John Martin will be made fully aware of what's happening by the pits to tell them that Great Britain is in trouble, that they don't have the horsepower you've got, and Australia have got they've got 1 power boost remaining. So he's got to find himself to get into position to where he can use his car power boost to try and nick that 7th place from Great Britain.
Oh, this is interesting end to the race for Team Australia. They could be tied on points with New Zealand, or they could go ahead if they can gain 1 more position, and Great Britain ahead of them definitely in a bit of trouble. But Dan Clark pretty quick through paddock again. He doesn't want to yield that 7th place if he can avoid it. Out of the points only just is Team Italy, Tonio Liuzzi. Very quiet race from Liuzzi. We haven't really seen much of him. There's AJ. He's totally aware of what this means if they could get past the British car.
The Australia car's got to get closer than it is right now with 3 laps to go, particularly here into Surtees, because that's where he could use his power boost. Power boots the car out of Surtees, but again, doing so probably loses a couple of tenths of a second.
It does, yes, you can just see it's eased him slightly further away from the British car once again. Dan Clark holding on. Just maybe he's having to readapt his driving style. I don't know if the engine's responding any differently with that broken exhaust, but Dan Clark so far so good. He's still there in 7th place. GBR looking to score points. Australia determined to get past if they can.
And both nations lapping at identical lap times, 1:14.0. So nothing to be gained by Australia. They should be able to close this GBR car down with 2 laps to go coming through Clark Curve.
The view from the back of the British car. The fans are aware, I'm sure, that they're in trouble here. They can hear that car as it goes past them. But still, Dan Clark keeps it just ahead of John Martin, 7th and 8th. Up front, with less than 2 laps to go now, it is Adam Carroll for Team Ireland. History is in the making. He's just got to get around another 4 miles or so, and he's got some traffic to deal with here. That'll be a little bit of a concern. in the final stages. He's got a 9-second lead though, nearly 10 seconds in fact, from the Netherlands. Here's the Dutch car in second place, and it really has been a masterly afternoon from Adam Carroll.
It's been a masterly weekend from Team Ireland, of which Adam is a significant part. But this has been a real team effort. The team have worked very hard to achieve this position, and finally, and I don't want to put the curse of the commentator on Team Ireland at this stage with just 2 laps to go, this is going to be Team Ireland's day.
Nervousness at Switzerland. Are they going to finish third? But the cheers already beginning to come from Team Ireland with less than 1 lap to go. Adam Carroll has crossed the line. He's got less than a lap to do to wrap up this title. Little bit of traffic. Maybe will he worry about that, or will he just follow them? Because he's got such a big lead. Indonesia gets out the way, and that's good news from Adam's point of view. He doesn't have to worry about that anymore. He's got Lebanon just ahead, Daniel Murad, but I don't know whether he's even going to get close enough to him on this last lap. Adam Carroll, who made his debut for Team Ireland at the Brno race in season 3. Great debut it was, in fact. He qualified 4th, finished 3rd, then went on to take the victory in the feature race in Mexico in season 3. And season 4, what a superb season he's had. Zandvoort didn't go well, he spun from 3rd, but from ever since then, John, he's driven brilliantly.
Well, what's happened is there's been a growth of self-confidence in Adam Carroll and in the Team Ireland, with the engineering, with the whole team being given a seat, knowing he didn't have to worry about paying for a drive, and here's the culmination of all their efforts.
A1 Team Ireland come through the final turn and become the new winners of A1GP World Cup of Motorsport. They've done it. Team Ireland on top. Dave O'Neill, you have done it, and they are absolutely delighted with that. Netherlands in second place after all the hard work. Switzerland come home in 3rd. A valiant effort by Neil Yarni and the crew, but ultimately Brands Hatch had Team Ireland stamped on it from the first day here.
And history has been made. Ireland have won their first international motorsport championship, and it's been done by a group of guys from the north of Ireland, from the south of Ireland. Mark Gallagher, who has worked absolutely tirelessly at every level to get this team to this position, and all I can say is to everybody in Team Ireland, from an Irishman, fantastic, congratulations, and bring it on again next year.
What a day, what a period for Ireland, winners of the 5 nations in the rugby, and now winners of the World Cup of Motorsport as well. They have done it. Let's hear from Mark Gallagher.
Mark, first off, congratulations. It's taken 4 years, but you've finally done it.
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, what a fantastic race he drove today. Actually, what a brilliant weekend. Perfect result, 2 poles, 2 wins. I think the only thing we didn't do is get past the lap in that race, but everything else was perfect. Bit of an issue with Team USA during the race, holding us up. I had a quiet word in their ear, but we needed to be worried. I think we were far more nervous here than Adam was in the car.
It must have been good knowing you have such a calm, collected driver. He's performed so well all season long. It's been such a group effort, though, with all the guys.
It's very simple. He's a world-class driver. He's now a world champion in A1GP. He deserved this. He's deserved this kind of a result for years, and we've finally given it to him. And this is Adam Carroll's day and Team Ireland's championship.
We'll go have a good night.
Thank you.
You can almost feel the sense of relief, can't you? The build-up that has taken so long, they knew they were in with a chance, but to have done it so brilliantly, so strongly, with 2 pole positions and 2 race victories. It's the only time this season that the same nation has won both races on the one day, and he couldn't have timed it better, could he? He brings the car up onto the finish line. Oh, it's donut time! And he's going to take out our cameraman if he's not careful. Adam Carroll, what a feeling this must be for the young man, who has been a Formula 1 test driver, never quite got the opportunity to race in Formula 1, but he's shown in A1GP just what he can do, what he's made of, and he's delivered under pressure when it mattered. Savour the moment. Wonderful reception from the crowd here. Of course, a massive number of Irish fans, but also a huge amount of support from all of the fans here. A lot of British racegoers have watched Adam Carroll for many years. He was a great Formula Ford racer in the UK. He won the British F3 scholarship, raced hard with Nelson Piquet Jr. to just miss out on the British F3 title. So he has raced so much in the UK, and he has so many fans here in Great Britain, lives in the UK, of course, as well, and he has delivered absolutely today. You've got a feel for Neil Yarney and the Swiss crew. They came here to Brands Hatch, the venue of their title-winning season last year. This time, they couldn't quite manage it, but a very valiant effort, and I think he's done enough to hold on to the runners-up spot. And Switzerland still, overall, throughout all of the seasons of A1GP, still consistently the most performing team throughout those 4 years. There's no doubt about it. And Neil Yarney and James Robinson, Max Velti have been such a core team within the whole series. But this time, beaten by Team Ireland after just a superb season. Only the little mishap at Zandvoort, really. That spin starting the sprint race in those appalling conditions. But let's just run through the final result. It's Ireland winning the feature race, having won the sprint race, and they win the title. Netherlands a great second ahead of Switzerland. Monaco a fine fourth. Portugal fifth. Mexico's strong day today with a great podium finish earlier and sixth in the feature. Great Britain, solid drive by Dan Clark. Then Australia with fastest lap and 8th place finishing position. Italy 9th, France in 10th. Then South Africa, Lebanon and Indonesia. USA finished down in 14th. Malaysia were 15th. Germany out of the race. Obamba spun out. We lost several cars at the beginning as well. But what a race to finish off the championship season. And looking at the points there, that is the confirmation that Ireland have won the title. Switzerland finish in second place and Portugal take third. The Netherlands have their best ever finish in A1GP with fourth, France in fifth, Malaysia sixth, and New Zealand and Australia, well, New Zealand get the decision. Look, they got 2 bronze medals and 1 silver medal. Those podiums for New Zealand, despite the same number of points from Australia, mean that New Zealand are champions. And not champions, but New Zealand, sorry, have won that little battle. So New Zealand 7th, Australia 8th, Monaco in a fine 9th, Great Britain 10th, then USA and India. And India, unfortunately, in that race to go out right at the start. Mexico moved up well in this final event because they're up to 13th, courtesy of 2 good finishes. South Africa there 14th, and Brazil and Italy. Lebanon on the points scoring table for the first time at the end of a season after Daniel Murad's efforts. China down in 18th. Korea, Indonesia and Germany completing the list.
Champions, Ireland, you were brilliant.
Oh, it's unbelievable. I don't know what to say. It's just, the emotion is, just want to cry actually. So it was hard to fight the tears back over the last half a lap, to tell you the truth. So, you know, just the thought of going off at that point kept me focused.
What about USA and your way? Were you getting angry?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Just crazy, like lap after lap. There was no blue flags, and I think his radio wasn't working, but you know, it's just crazy to stand at front of that.
Slightly nervous in that second pit stop. I think there was a problem on the left rear.
I thought it was just because of the traffic. I think we were okay. It was just there were 2 cars coming in the fast lane, so we had to wait. But I don't know. It all doesn't matter now. We've won, and that's the main thing.
It's a hell of a thing for Ireland, isn't it?
It is unbelievable. I'd like to thank just everybody who's made it possible, and little Alex at home who got his little angel. Thank you. So we'll see us all later on.
Brilliant. We'll talk to you later. Thanks. Well done, Adam.
Thank you.
Champion
as well, Tony Texera, just with a pat on the back for the team boss Mark Gallagher as well. They've come a long way, these two together. A first for Irish motorsport as well, the first international championship for Ireland. And Ollie, you'd have to say that's a great achievement for Irish motorsport.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've got to emphasise the importance, you know, and what a prestigious day this is for Irish motorsport. It's a fantastic achievement the team's managed, and I think the whole of Ireland will really be behind the team into season 5 now.
Going to be speaking to Mark Gallagher in the studio very shortly, but it has been a collective team effort, this, hasn't it?
Yeah, we can't emphasise that enough. The team work ever so hard. They're one of the first teams in, one of the last to leave. And we've talked about the pit stops throughout the programme. They've always been one of the quickest teams at pit stops, and you only have to look at sort of 7, 8 o'clock at night when they're there practising endlessly as to see why.
Adam Carroll, the sort of driver you fear as another driver in this championship?
Oh, Adam's a great driver. I mean, coming into this season, I knew with the new car, Adam would really show his abilities. And I think he's proved to not just the A1 paddock, but also the world what a great driver he is.
It didn't start so well, did it, though? If we look way back to Zandvoort, that was pretty much a disaster.
Well, I'm on the podium here with the seat holder for Team Ireland, Mark Gallagher. No one's worked harder, even Adam Carroll today, to get your team to this position.
Yeah, it's been 4 years of very hard work, but you know, it's always been a team effort. It's a cliche in sport to say it's a team effort, but John Hines, David Kennedy, Teddy Yip, our sponsors, the boys. I mean, my goodness, what a magnificent pit crew we have. Jerry Hughes, our engineer, and of course this young fella here.
Well, Mark, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to put you on the spot. Why is it taking Ireland so long to win at rugby? Why is it taking Team Ireland so long to win in motor racing?
We've been saving up for the bar bill for tonight, and it's taken 4 years to get there, with the economic circumstances. But no, seriously, we set up our own team to do this. We didn't contract out. It's taken 4 years. We've learned a lot, and we have shown that we have learned, and now we have won.
Well, congratulations. Adam Carroll, what can I say? Pole position, 2 victories. I mean, I've seen some stunning races, but this has got to be your finest day.
It is, yeah. I always knew this was hopefully going to come, and I knew I was ready to do the job. And just have to say, just thank you so much to the team and the guys for giving me this opportunity, because it's the first time I've had this situation, and I've been able to prove what I can really do.
Well, you've proved that. But what are you going to think? What are you going to do tonight? I mean, you're going to go crazy, or you're just going to be normal crazy?
I don't know. Normal crazy is crazy enough, I think, but no, I just tried not to. I think I cried the last half a lap, and really did cry on the end lap, so it's just such a relief.
Well, I mean, an absolutely fantastic drive and a fantastic effort by the team. It looked at times, had you any problems at all, or was it just trying to get past Team USA that you were a little bit concerned about?
Oh yeah, because I was close enough to be in his dirty air, and it was like 5-10 laps behind him, and his pace was okay, but just there was no blue flags or anything. That was a little bit frustrating, but anyway, enough of that. We came through and did the job.
Well, congratulations, absolutely blinding for Ireland. First time I think Ireland's won an international motor racing series. You're the man. Lorraine Blake-Mullen, second. You were also over the weekend one of the quickest cars here. Second place. Happy or disappointed?
Well, I mean, after qualifying, I think we can be happy with a second place. I mean, Adam was very quick in qualifying. We were looking very strong. I thought we were looking a bit stronger, but then he got us there. And, I think it's very good to end the season like this. I mean, the second place is great, and fourth in the standings is our best so far. But obviously, for next season, we want to go higher.
Well, tell me truthfully, the two teams you work together, was there any real chance of you taking on Adam for a wheel-to-rail race?
Not really. I mean, the first stint I lost quite a lot of time. In the second stint I made up some time, but the third stint he ran away again. So today he was just a little bit faster.
Super race, congratulations. Neil Yanni for Switzerland. The championship's been handed to Ireland. You had the championship last year. Been a tough weekend.
Very difficult weekend. I'm happy it ended up on the podium. I think we found finally some pace in the feature race, even though we had a broken exhaust. But Ireland is a well-deserved champion. I like to battle with them, and I hope we'll battle next year again, and then we'll end up on the top.
So, I mean, how can you run a car with a broken exhaust and keep all those other cars behind you?
Well, just get as wide as possible, drive as wide as possible, so nobody can pass you. But no, on the other hand, I have to say we found pace finally in the feature race, and the car was handling well. Unfortunately, we didn't find it earlier this week.
So do you think you could have really taken the challenge to Ireland, or do you think they had the momentum all the weekend?
I think it would have been hard to beat them. I think they were pretty unbeatable this weekend, but maybe could have put on a bit more pressure.
Well, Neil, all I can say, congratulations. You've done a fantastic job all year for Team Switzerland and Netherlands, Team Ireland. Great job. I think with that, it's time to get back up to the commentary booth and let these guys go away and relax, celebrate, and wake up with sore heads tomorrow morning.
It.
Whoa, out of control.
Lebanon has hit China. A fantastic drive from Adam Carroll, and here's some side-by-side action. Ooh! A1GP Portugal's first ever win. Oh, we've got an accident already. Oh my goodness. What has gone wrong for Malaysia? Team Ireland takes the win.
Team GBR was spun out under brakes. Oh! It had to happen!
Switzerland's 8th win in A1GP. And he's off.
Adam Carroll's in trouble.
Ireland in a spin.
Oh, collision.
Lights out, away we go. Disaster for Australia. Oh no, they've got contact.
Oh no!
And Switzerland win the feature race. Away we go. Look at Mexico. Oh, he runs wide. And A1 Team Ireland come through to take their 4th victory in the season. Team Ireland come through the final turn and become the new winners of A1GP World Cup of Motorsport. They've done it.